2, 1.
And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution is not going to get that man today. No, because I'm going to get him.
Good evening and welcome to this Friday, October 19th edition of the HAGMANN and HAGMANN Report. My name is Joe HAGMANN. My co-host is Doug HAGMANN, who will be joining me any moment in the studio. Together we are the premier father and son radio show on the internet. You can hear us broadcasting live each weeknight from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern. You can find us on the internet at homelandsecurityus.com. Also, streaming live on video. The video will be up today shortly in high definition on Christians United Broadcasting Network. You can find them on YouTube, on Justin TV. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight as we are going to cover some of the things going on in the news and some of the things that the news is not covering. This is a Friday, a free-for-all Friday, and your calls will be welcome throughout the show. If you want to join in, give us a call at 661-244-9839. A couple of things we're going to get into tonight. There was a bombing in Beirut. 8 were dead and 78 were injured. Also, there have been clashes with police, riots, and unrest spreading in Japan or in Spain, in Greece. We're going to cover, and we have some sound bites from that. It is getting bad over there, as Spain is now talking about outlawing recording or taking pictures of the police as they are brutalizing the protesters. Well, some of the protesters are violent themselves. What we are seeing here is an American police state, an international police state being set up for the countries with the fiat currency that is just keeping these nations afloat. Also, the CIA is claiming that it needs more drones, and they're not the only ones. The San Francisco police chief, or the San Francisco California sheriff, asked the DHS for more surveillance drones. And also, coming out of Iran, this title, Israel must expect hundreds of more drones, says Iranian commander. This coming after one drone was struck down in Israel earlier last week. And this article says, following Hezbollah's success in flying an Iranian-made drone over Israel, a senior Iranian military commander says the Tel Aviv regime must expect hundreds of other drones with which has no clue how to deal. It says, Zionists must expect hundreds of other drones in 25 different models with new flying systems that they won't know how to control them. Commander of the Baj Forces Brigade, General Mohad Reza, told reporters Friday. Also, something I mentioned at the end of the show last night and wanted to hit at the beginning of the show but didn't. The Federal Appeals Court strikes down Defense of Marriage Act. Now, I want to play for you this powerful clip from Rick Wiles' show yesterday from True News. He got in what I would say is a rant, a needed rant. And here it is. You guys need to hear this. For those of you who haven't.
This is a great sound clip.
Hey, glad to join us.
Welcome, everyone. Yeah, this is a fabulous sound clip. I must say that. Very assertive on the part of Rick Wiles, and extremely, extremely important, because we all have our own personal red lines.
Yeah.
And I think that this really resonated with Rick. And boy, I'll tell you. But for those of you who don't or who are unfamiliar with Rick Wiles, he has True News, and he is very popular.
Yeah, and he says a lot of things, standing up for the Christian, standing up for the Lord Jesus Christ and the message, the scriptures, and not wavering or teetering in the face of adversity. And you'll see that and hear that in this clip I'm going to play right now. So here we go.
Blog Talk Radio.
That's his intro, by the way, not ours.
There shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. One man, one microphone, one mission, one message. True News, the only newscast reporting the countdown to the second coming of Jesus Christ. And now for the most powerful hour on radio, Rick Wiles.
This is True News, 1 hour of uncensored news, views, and commentary. Welcome to the program. I'm Rick Wiles. Today is Thursday, October 18, 2012. The Defense of Marriage Act was struck down today as unconstitutional. A U.S. federal appeals court in New York ruled that it violates the constitutional rights of homosexuals. Specifically, the court ruled unconstitutional the key part of the law which bars the U.S. government from recognizing same-sex marriages. The U.S. Justice Department refused to defend the federal law, even though that is one of the main responsibilities of the Justice Department. And the court brushed aside the argument by opponents that same-sex marriage is unknown to history and tradition. In Texas, a group of high school cheerleaders won a temporary victory in their fight to wave banners at high school football games displaying biblical verses. A Texas district judge ruled today that students may continue to display the biblical phrases on banners until the battle goes to another court next year. The banners declared themes such as, "I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me," and "But thanks be to God, which gives us victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." The school district received a threatening letter from the Freedom from Religion Foundation demanding the banners be banned on school property. Now, if I were a parent there, I think I would write back to that group and say, you might want to form the Freedom from a 45 Slug in Your Forehead Foundation. Get your nose out of our school. You don't belong here. Well, school superintendent Kevin Weldon told the Houston Chronicle, "It is not a personal opinion of mine. My personal convictions are that I am a Christian as well. But I am also a state employee and a school representative, and I was advised that such a practice would be in direct violation of the United States Supreme Court decisions." Let me be very blunt. Mr. Weldon, you're not a Christian. You're a cowardly little weasel who will not stand up for Jesus Christ. If you were truly a Christian, you would gladly suffer persecution for the name of Jesus Christ. You would be willing to be fired or go to jail in defense of godly teenagers in a wicked world, desiring to express their love and devotion to Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. So don't tell me you're a Christian, but you got to do what you have to do because you're a state employee. No, a Christian does what is right because he or she has allegiance to God and to God alone. In a day when children and teenagers are being led into debauchery, you ought to be more than willing to put everything on the line, including your job as school superintendent and your pension, to fight for these Christian students who simply want to wave Christ-centered banners on the football field? Where's your courage, Mr. Weldon? I'm tired of these people saying, I'm a Christian, but I have to do what I'm told. I'm fed up with that attitude.
There you
and to
go.
the parents and the pastors of this little Texas town, I ask you, will you risk jail if a court rules the kids can't display Bible verses in public? Will you roll over and play dead because a group of God haters in another city, in another state, sent a letter to your school system? When will the adults, including the pastors, defy the courts and stand up for Jesus Christ? How long are you going to be pushed around and told to sit in the back of the bus? Who says Christians must obey ungodly judges telling us when that we and our children cannot pray in public or display the Bible in public? Why are church members so cowardly and timid? Why are you unwilling to fight for what is right? If Jesus Christ was willing to die for you, are you not willing to live for Him?
And
amen, Rick.
That's really what, we are abandoning our religious, our moral,
we are
spiritual.
Yes, our spiritual duty as Christians. The churches are silent. The preachers are silent.
Right.
The school superintendent, who he talked about there as saying, I'm a Christian, but, I have to do X, Y, or Z because of policy or law. He's right. Why aren't these people willing to lose everything for furthering the glory, spreading the glory in Jesus Christ? Why are they ashamed, or why won't they stand up to this? Is it really because they're afraid to lose their job? If your job is more important than the Lord, you have a very bad spiritual problem. And and a very big spiritual problem.
Big and
dangerous. Yeah. You are playing with your eternal soul, and you are not going to end up in a place you're going to regret what you have done. And this isn't just a problem with, this one school superintendent from Texas or this one circuit court judge. This is the problem of the whole, or the church as a whole, as 501c3s are neutered for the most part in political speech.
Correct.
Due to threats from the IRS. Other churches don't want to focus on things like controversy, even when the controversy includes them being wiped out of existence or their teachings not being allowed to be heard in the public, in public schools, or even in private homes, as we've seen multiple people go to jail for holding Bible studies in their homes. It is just outrageous, the level of, how do I say this, cowardness, of selfishness, of ungodliness that runs through the church. Now, when we read prophecies and when we read about the end times, we know Satan is going to deceive the masses. But who is he really trying to deceive? Is he trying to deceive atheists? Is he trying to deceive unbelievers? No. He's going to deceive, or try to deceive, the church, the real believers. And it looks like he's doing a very good job. I mean, it's just unreal. Not only has this court in New York struck down this Defense of Marriage Act, the churches themselves, whether Presbyterian or other denominations, have willingly, voted to define or redefine marriage. Instead of a man and a woman, now it's between two people or persons. So they changed the language to appease gay marriage, which is completely against what the teachings in the Bible say. So going against your own beliefs to appease another group.
And this
so where is your allegiance lying if this is the case? It's just, when I heard, Rick, that opening from the show yesterday, when I heard that this morning, it got me fired up.
Yeah, and seldom does Rick really engage in any type of rant. And I think that I wouldn't even classify this as a rant as much as I would a statement of faith and an assertion of faith.
Yeah, I want to read what this court said when they made their decision in a 2-1 ruling. They determined that America's gay population has suffered a history of discrimination similar to that faced by women in years past. And, we're comparing it to a civil rights issue, people being oppressed and not allowed. This whole thing is just about, inheritance and taxes. And
it's really, it's more than that, too. I mean, it's that plus. Look, when you start talking about
from the people
redefining marriage,
from most gay couples' perspective,
right?
They want equal treatment under the law. They want the same rights and tax, whatever. But as the agenda, that is, what is really taking off and ruining America and the churches, putting them on, turning people, true Christians, away from the church when they see their church accept gay marriage,
right,
and not say anything or speak out about it in fear of being ridiculed, or labeled as right. What are they called? Homophobic church.
It's a totally different language, but here's the situation as I see it. What this is, I mean, this is part of a larger agenda. Who are the people behind this that are speaking up for or against the defense of marriage or against the traditional marriage definition? Well, it's the progressives. It's people tend to often equate Democrats with things like this, social issues that are outside of the norm. And when I say outside of the norm, I'm talking about outside of the religious or spiritual norm. I'm talking about what does a traditional marriage represent? Well, marriage is between a husband and wife. That's it. Look what the Bible says. And the reason that this is so important in my belief, and the reason Rick Wiles had really gone to such lengths to attack this is because in the end, folks, it's just more than the economic factors. It's more than the insurance. The people pushing this agenda want to attack our fabric, our social or our spiritual fabric, our Judeo-Christian values. When you start redefining marriage, when you start doing this, because as I said earlier, it is an attack against the family. It's an attack against our biblical principles. It's an attack against our Christianity. It is an affront to the very definition of a husband of life. And I know Ann Barnhart speaks a lot about this, and regardless of what you feel about Ann Barnhart, there are two big issues I 100% agree with her on. Number one is the economy, and number two is the attack on our Judeo-Christian beliefs. This is a satanic agenda that's being forced down our throats.
Yeah,
especially and because this leads to the acceptance of this perverse aspect has consequences far beyond the issue itself.
Yeah, what did the 1963 communist goals state about homosexuality?
To push it, to absolutely push it.
Right. They say the homosexuality is normal, so it should not be considered wrong. This is one of the arguments. People are born that way. It is normal. They deserve equal rights. and you look at the definition of normal, and the dictionary, Webster's, or your dictionaryreference.com says, conforming to the standard or the common type, usual, not abnormal. So conforming to the standard or the common type is normal. So I guess in today's day and age, it would be normal.
It's not normal. It was not normal back 20 years ago or 40 years ago, and it's not normal today.
Well, as this world has conformed to the ideals and the demonic attacks, and when they take people over, the possessions, when people fall into their own lust, human lust and pleasures, and their self, instead of turning to a life of God and charity and faith, this is what happens. This abstract, unnatural sin has turned into the norm. When you have heterosexual couples having sex in public on a restaurant table,
right?
I mean, it's just absolutely...
One can argue that this is part of this movement. This is a byproduct of this movement because, again, when you start attacking the normalcy of a husband and wife, a traditional marriage, and accept the perversity of a man and man, woman on woman, or even the pansexual movement, and so forth. What you're doing is you're attacking the fabric, you're attacking the belief system, you're attacking the faith, you're attacking all. This is a multi-pronged attack, and it's done with the intent to destroy. This is one element of our country that is sorely lacking, and it's easy for us to look at this and say, well, I've got a family member, or I've got a friend, or I know somebody in church who's homosexual, and we are to accept them. Well, okay, but at what point do we say, no, hold on a minute, tolerance of evil makes tolerance itself evil? And I think that's part of what we have to look at.
This website makes a great point talking about normal, how it's not normal. It says we can see from definitions above, conforming with the norm, standard, that homosexuality does not fit in the norm because it is statistically practiced by less than 5% of the population.
3.4%, I believe. In
that sense, homosexuality is not normal.
Right.
It goes on to say if homosexuality is considered normal because it occasionally occurs in the animal kingdom, this does not support it being normal since it is practiced by a small percent of animals. However, an appeal is made to the fact that heterosexuality or homosexuality occurs within animals regardless of the percentage of the occurrence, then this has problems because it implies that whatever occurs in the animal kingdom is also normal for us. Eating your young.
Stop right there. Do you see where the eugenics movement fits into this?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So there you have it. It is part of the very people who want to call the population and are in favor of the eugenics movement, certainly are in favor of the bastardization of the actual marriage, the traditional marriage, the definition of the traditional marriage. So, as I said earlier, this goes far beyond anything, just the one aspect that people say, well, this is what it's all about. No, it goes far beyond that. So we have to keep our eyes on this because, Romney is, and there are a lot of people out there. Now, there are a lot of people out there who are saying, well, Romney's not going to change this. Well, of course not. He's not going to change this. But could we perhaps buy a little bit more time if the pressure is off? I mean, the agenda of Obama at this point is such that he is actively destroying this country. And I'll tell you, today it's just been such a long day. Actually, this entire week's been long, but I've got to tell you, and folks, I'll tell you this. Last night, I was on the phone after the show, probably 3 hours. I just had to shut the phone off about 2 o'clock, and I was on the phone again from 5:30 this morning through, I don't know. Had just a great chat with Marianne. Thank you so much, Marianne, for everything. But I want to say this. The reason I mention this, the the agenda of Obama with respect to our the social aspects of our country is an active participation in its destruction. With Romney, there are elements there. However, it will not be it does not, I don't believe it will be, and I'm not advocating Romney, I'm not advocating him at all. I'm just saying that there may be a point here where he will not be as active in terms of the destruction or intended destruction of the country.
Romney?
Romney. Now, as quickly, let me just put it that way. Because when you get to the level that Romney's at, and when you get to the level that any presidential candidate is at, they are now answering to a whole different set of paymasters.
Yeah,
well beyond what we are able to comprehend.
In my opinion, Romney and Obama,
ultimately
are different in certain aspects, but when it comes down to what will be done to better this country, they will be the same.
Well, in a perfect world, we would have somebody in the office that would be beholden to no one, would be following the Constitution, would be following the Judeo-Christian principles that this country was founded upon. And one of the biggest lies that I see going around is that this country was not founded on Judeo-Christian principles. Well, obviously it was. And we can provide the documentation and the proof of that, but there are people out there that are saying, no.
Well, there's questions to, not whether it was founded on those. I guess that is an argument used, but the question is, was there a different agenda behind using that as the foundation? And that is something much deeper that...
Yeah, I mean, how far do we want to go down this trail? Now, we can go... But, how productive would that be at this point? Now, that said, I was talking with somebody today who gave an very interesting scenario. And folks, I talked to you briefly about this, Joe, but I didn't really get into this. Folks, think about this for a moment. All the threats to Romney, wouldn't it be something? And we're trying to figure out what's going to happen, if something is going to happen, and if something is going to happen, what that something might be.
Trying to figure out or
based on
analyzing what is going on.
Based on all the tidbits we get in.
Laying out the different possibilities that could happen.
Right.
And what would result from those different possibilities. One being Obama winning the election, one being Romney winning the election, one being something happening before the election. And we know that the threats to assassinate Romney are out there. There's threats to riot if Obama wins.
Yeah,
so we're trying to put all these pieces and look and see. We know hopefully there is going to be an election. Things will roll on as, as prescribed, as usual in this country. There will be no type of event that would hinder the elections, because that would be just terrible for us, because we know where that road leads.
What did you just say exactly?
That no event would hinder the elections. I'm hoping that nothing will happen.
That's certainly my hope as well.
But there's always a possibility of the otherwise.
And this brings me to the point. Think about this, folks. Think about we hear, and this was given to me by this scenario was painted by an intelligence analyst, and it really disturbed me because and I'm not going to go into the entire series of events, but it really kind of disturbed me because of the entirety of the potential events here. But we're seeing threats to Governor Romney at this point. Now, what if, in fact, and I do know that some of these threats can be traced back to people that are very pro-Obama, of course, pro-Obama agenda, not necessarily Democrats, but that socialist, that deep socialist agenda, and knowing that Obama is not finished with this country. Now, let me throw in something else here. We've also seen,
you say Obama. Who's really in control?
Well,
in my opinion, Obama
there's levels here.
Right. Yeah, Obama doesn't control much.
No, okay. But, however, if you look at Obama, what he has done, he has brought in the Muslim Brotherhood into the White House. He's brought the Muslim Brotherhood into the State Department.
So, you know,
he's brought the Muslim Brotherhood into...
Bush has done the same thing, you know?
Yes. Yes, he did. With respect to, especially by Grover Norquist, okay, who he, if you look up Grover Norquist and see what he's done, and a lot of people are saying, oh, Grover Norquist is such a great conservative. Well, look at what he's done to set the stage for Obama. He did a whole lot. So there's a lot of continuity here. Not obvious, but very subtle continuities. And now, having said that, I've also seen, and let me kind of address something else that dovetails with what this analyst had said, this intelligence analyst had said. People are comparing this election to Carter and Reagan. That is a deliberate psyop, if you will. That's something that's being done to create the illusion of incompetence of Obama. And this is something that, according to the intelligence analysts I spoke to and others in the intelligence industry, we are not to underestimate Obama. We're not to underestimate the people around him, and especially the people around him. Now, right now, as a matter of fact, you talk about the people around him. The de facto president is Valerie Jarrett, who is currently working out this agreement with Iran. It's a farce. It really is. But you're going to see next, and mark my words, on Wednesday, you're going to see an announcement, folks, that Iran will agree to halt any pursuit of nuclear weapons. That's Wednesday. And Valerie Jarrett is going to be touting that win, or that big thing. Here it is. Look what we've done. Look what this administration has done. They've managed to rein in Iran and stop the nuclear weapons from being from them pursuing nuclear weapons. Now, that said, going back to the scenario that is at hand, think about this. You've got threats to Romney. What if one of those threats was actually legitimate, in quotation marks, and was made good? Somebody made good on that threat. What would happen? Analyze the fallout where Romney would be assassinated prior to the election. What does our Constitution say that we would have to do? Does it address that? What's the procedure? What would happen? Would Obama stay in office?
That's a good question. Who would run against him, I guess, is the question.
That's right.
We need the answer to.
We could not have, or the Republicans could not grab a candidate, viable candidate, very quickly.
Oh, I don't know.
You had in that window, I should say.
Yeah, and the whole process of the debates and getting to know the person as much as the mainstream media will tell you.
but for the mass, think about the mess that would create, the absolute chaos that would create.
Right.
Now, I'm not, obviously, folks, I'm not advocating anything. Lord knows, this is discussion of possibilities. Just so people, who might be listening to this and want to edit my words or cut me off, know that what's going on here. This is a discussion of possibilities as provided to me via intelligence sources. But think about that.
Yeah. I mean, also we have the fact that what if we had a scenario like the Bush-Gore election where Obama were to win the popular vote but lose the election? That scenario would foment some civil unrest, I'd imagine. Even if it wasn't a close race,
right,
it would still be, from what we are seeing and hearing from Twitter, and people are saying they'll riot because they're afraid food stamps. Romney's going to cut food stamps completely off. That's what their argument is. And is it any coincidence that food stamps are at their most all-time high and they keep reaching a new high, every month that continues to go by?
And you're right. And the reason I was late to this program, into the studio, was I was on the phone with one of our sources that provides some just fantastic information, and in fact was the source for the Benghazi information. And I just asked him flat out. I said, "Look, if because this individual knows pretty much a lot of things going on in the background," and then I asked him if he were to have to hazard a guess today, if the people voted tomorrow, who would win the election? And he said, well, Obama. But he was talking about the electoral college, as opposed to the popular vote, which obviously the electoral college is the important part of this. And there was some discussion and analysis of that, the electoral college votes there. I'm sorry, I'm just like really wiped out, but you get the idea.
Yeah,
you get the idea. So, but anyway,
we can mull over these.
Go back to that scenario though.
Different scenarios,
right,
over and over again, and play it out in our minds, and try to see the future. But really, we don't know.
No, we don't. But I guess here's the bottom line. I talked to Judy McLeod from Canada Free Press. What a great person. And I said, Judy, you've been in this in journalism business for a long time, for like 30 years. What do you see going on? What's your gut telling you? What do you feel? And she's been hearing things pretty much consistently that there's going to be a bump in the road. There's going to be a speed bump between now and the elections. And I asked her what she bases that on. She says just a whole number of little things that she's seeing pop up that have never popped up in the same frequency, it never formed the same thing before. So we have to watch that.
Callers, we're coming to you in a second, and if you guys want to get on hold, give us a call, 661-244-9839. We'll be taking phone calls throughout the broadcast. 8 killed, 78 injured in a Beirut bomb explosion. According to Lebanese media, a car bomb caused a powerful explosion in Saïn Square, a busy part of Beirut's eastern Ashfira district. Ashfira is predominantly a Christian district.
Look,
the intended target is unclear.
The whole bottom line here is the Christians are being targeted throughout the world. There are a lot of Christians in Lebanon. This is what's taking place, and this is going to keep expanding. And this is a byproduct of that Muslim Brotherhood agenda by Obama. These people are seeing America as weak.
Yeah, this happened during rush hour. This is the first major attack since 2008, and no group has claimed responsibility.
Exactly. Also,
a couple other things we're going to get into. Israel must end illegal settlement construction, says the Russian Foreign Ministry, and also the Eurozone. In Spain, after 2 decades of dizzying growth, the party's over. Spain is in turmoil. They are rioting. They are just like Greece. They're going through these austerity measures. They are having clashes with police. They are firebombing the police. The police are beating them, and we have audio set up for that story when we get to it. But we're going to go to the phone lines right now since we got some people on hold. We're going to go to area code 617. 617. You are live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Let's do it.
Oh yes. Joe and Doug, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Great.
What?
Jeff.
You know what's funny is I was reading on Infowars.com about all the tweets that came out to assassinate Romney. I mean, my blood pressure was boiling, and it's foul language and really bad stuff. And you know what? When you look at the history, because I like history, and if you look at Obama's cousin Odinga when he lost the election, I mean, Kenya went up in smoke and flames. I was watching a little bit of it on Al Jazeera, and I mean, I was really I'm afraid. I'm really afraid that that if Obama doesn't get in and Romney wins, I'm going to see a whole bunch of gangbangers point their finger at me, and I'll feel like I'm on a safari hunt, and they'll say, "Let's lynch Whitey." I mean, I'm serious. I mean, this is because you know what? We're being turned into a third world country, and if Obama gets in, then I see America being turned into the Soviet Union, and neck lacing, like you know, Jeff Cooner. I think he's the new Michael Savage. I don't know if you guys ever read Jeff Cooner's stuff from the Washington Times, but Jeff Cooner is an up and comer. You know, Michael Savage is off for the time being.
Yes. I
mean, Jeff Cooner has some real edgy stuff, and I am beside myself because you know, we have so many illegals in there, and I believe a lot of the illegals are going to be Obama's new third world army. When people compare Obama to Hitler, Obama's not Hitler. Obama is Mugabe. Obama is a third world communist Muslim who is going to lynch Whitey. I mean, there is a film out called 2016 by Dinesh D'Souza, where Dinesh considers him an anti-colonialist. And anti-colonial is code word for anti-white. And if you're Jewish or white, look out. And that's why Obama never went to Israel to really meet with the Prime Minister Netanyahu, and he snubbed him when he was at the White House. So all I have to say is, I mean, if people are dumb enough to vote for Obama again, we deserve what we get. Guys, God bless you, and keep up the good work.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. And he's right. The words anti-colonialism, they're code words for anti-Caucasian, anti-white,
I mean, we could get into a whole debate on that issue because we have our subsidiary defense contracting through, you know, Halliburton, people going into third world nations and, you know, destroying other people's property and killing people in the name of corporatizing towns. Now, you can...
Right.
So in my view, I've never heard anti-colonialism as being referred to as I think a racist term. I think it is a term, you know, when you think about it, the way that they set up our cities, it is, they have attacked us in a way where we cannot be self-sufficient, where we have to ask permission to grow, you know, have a business on our property or put an addition on, you know, a building on our property, or and they keep moving us into these smaller spaces. Right. People don't have room to grow, to keep animals. Now it's, you know, illegal to keep animals without permits in a lot of towns, and it's the Agenda 21 completely taken over. So by advocating these big mega cities, or for these big mega cities and for these corporations to take over, I mean, because that's what they do. They push out the mom and pop stores, and so I have a different view on that. I see the spreading of the corporatism in the third world countries as, you know, horrible, because they are ruining those people's future. I mean, look at America. Look at the dollar today. We're $16 trillion in debt. We have these elections coming up, which some say are the most important election. I was reading something you had here. This article states, you know, the most decisive campaign and election in modern American history. Well, is it really? This. No, it is. Well, it's a choice between what?
No. I understand.
A death by economy, or death by invasion, or death by starvation. I mean, we're choosing. It's not a real choice. It's a false choice. It's a straw man. Both are set up to fail because they both are controlled by the same masters, which have their ambition set on continuing the destruction of the
I don't want to make this into a political right-left thing, because it's not. I understand. They're both answering to the same paymasters. They both have the same bosses. The fact of the matter is, you know, we have to play the hand that we're dealt. If we're going to play the game by the rules, we have to play the hand that we're dealt. And that hand is, on one side Romney, the other side Obama. Anything else, look at it realistically, anything else short of getting the entire United States, or basically the entire United States, short of them saying, you know what, I'm not going to vote, or I'm going to vote, everyone's going to write in somebody else, then we can make a difference.
Well, I'd say it starts with not paying your taxes. Not letting this.
Fine, but don't pay your taxes.
But yeah,
but what's that going to do for November 6th?
See, it would be something if we had enough people who cared in this country that were to write in a candidate.
That's the problem.
Who would get a majority of the votes through the write-in. But we don't have an informed.
It's a horrible situation we're in right now. But so that is why, yes, given the limitations imposed upon us right now by the powers that are by the people who have the power, given those limitations.
Yeah, the way I look at America now is it is just the most corrupt, despicable nation on earth. Look at the report from the CIA. The CIA says it wants more drones, okay?
Yes.
Now, the CIA has asked the White House to increase the number in drones it employs to transform it into a paramilitary force, despite recent statistics that show the majority of drone deaths are civilians.
Well, of course.
We need to not partake in the sins of this country. We need to...
Not in my name, exactly. And that's why patriotism can be a double-edged sword.
Yes.
You grab onto that patriotic feeling and say, oh, goodness, that 9/11 type, that feeling from after 9/11. Look, I understand that. However, we cannot, do we want to engage in look at the history. Look at what Obama did. And this goes back to the original right-left or Romney-Obama thing. Do we want to continue the path with respect to the Arab Spring? Do we want to keep pouring fuel on that fire, keep throwing the Muslim Brotherhood across the swath of North Africa and the Middle East through Obama, which he's doing, or you want to take a little bit of a break, buy some time?
But do we know that for sure?
Put Romney in there. Do we know that for sure? No. But we know one thing for sure. We know Obama. We know what we got with this package, with this mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging knucklehead. So we know that.
Yeah, but really, we don't have a clue of what Romney will do once he gets into office. We're going to go back to the phones here. Area code 661. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. Hello, area code 661.
Hey, that's you, 661. You there? All right, let's go.
All right, moving along. Area code up.
All right, we'll give you another shot.
Coming back. 661.
You're up. Yes, you're up. Go ahead.
Me?
That's you.
Oh, cool. Actually, my area code isn't 661.
Okay, well, we'll just call you.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, I appreciate you taking my phone call, number one. And the only reason why I started watching you or listening to you is because of Steve Quayle.
Okay.
I think that he's awesome. And, he's got a lot of good points. And I love the way he talks about Jesus Christ. You get my drift?
Yes.
Hello, Doug?
Yes. We're here. Yeah, we understand.
All right. Yeah. I'm a big fan. And, I do have a little bit of a biff, if you know what I'm saying. I find that Joe, your son, is putting down Catholics on a regular basis, pretty much every time on the show.
Putting down Catholics?
He always has something that he comes up with that he does something against Catholics.
Can you please give me an example? Can you give me an example?
And we're off to the race.
Listen to your archives.
No, can you
All you got to do, Joe, just listen to your archives.
Okay, I don't have anything to say about Catholics.
Yeah, hey, Joe, some people sometimes don't realize what they're saying or whatever, or don't evaluate what they're saying, or anyway, listen to your archives, because I'll tell you, for people trying to survive in a world that, who knows, could go to poop. And as Steve Quayle said, Christians should all get together and stay together and not be, doing this thing where they're all against each other. And you agreed, by the way, Joe.
I do agree. We need to love our brothers
on that note.
and sisters.
Now, you agreed on it, but yet, on the other hand, you agreed on it, but yet you're putting down other Christians, which isn't right. I mean, shoot. You know what, Joe? You're not putting down atheists. You're not putting down people that are against Christianity. What you're doing is you are actually putting down Christianity itself in the whole aspect, whether they be Catholic, whether they be Protestant, whether they be anything. And it's like, why are you doing that?
Well,
I have to ask you.
I have to ask you what show you're listening to, man, because you can't give me an example. I don't know. What I will put down is the laws of man that the Catholicism tries to follow, and instead of the laws of the Bible.
Okay, Okay, you tell me what you have against Catholicism and why.
Okay, I'll give you an example.
What's your point?
In 1 Timothy chapter 4, it talks about in the last days, some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits, speaking lies, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meat.
Wait. This is the way you are interpreting.
I'm putting you on hold here, okay, ma'am? I just want to make something clear. I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to give you an example, and you want to interrupt, so I'm going to put you on hold. I'll bring you back after I explain this. Just one example. In the Bible, it talks about, in the last days, men will not follow the doctrine of the Bible. They will follow seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. It says, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meats, which God hath created and received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know.
All right, now,
hold on. Telling pastors...
Let's cut this off. Let's agree to cut this off in about 2 minutes. Because
I just want to say this. Okay, I've never attacked Catholics individually. I don't agree with the way the Roman Church runs their church. I don't believe that they, in their doctrines that are created by man, instead of them following the doctrines that are created by the Bible. Each individual person in the Catholic Church, I don't have a problem with Catholics at all. I love atheists also. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Obviously, this caller is not listening to the same shows I'm talking on, because I can't remember one instance where I've put down a Catholic or a
Before you bring it back, let me just say this to the caller. Caller, when we bring it back, we're going to give you a minute just to finish up. But here's the deal. What Joe is saying, without me putting words in his mouth, what Joe is saying is this. The further we get away from Jesus, anything man touches, man corrupts. And when we put doctrinal law, or we put laws or rules on, it's just we start we start misdirecting our efforts and diluting the true word.
Yeah.
And I think that she's saying that, without regard to what she's saying, I think that there's a confusion there where you're picking on the Catholics, or you're...
Yeah, I just want an example of what this...
Bring her back.
Well, yeah, we're going to bring it back on now.
Move on.
Okay, ma'am, you're back on.
You got the floor.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you, Doug. Actually, you know what? All you have to do, if you don't believe what I'm saying or whatever, all you got to do is look back on your archives and play them back. And there was a caller that called in. He was an Italian guy, I could tell, and he was talking about how he also didn't appreciate you putting down Catholics.
That's Dave from Long Island.
I don't know if you remember it. It was recent.
Yeah, it was last
and he
Friday.
didn't like that either.
He didn't like people in the chat
what
room.
I can tell you, well, he didn't like you putting down the Pope. Okay, let's
the Pope above another man? Is the Pope greater? Is the Pope greater than a poor child in Africa? Is he better than a poor child in Africa, in your mind?
Are you?
No. I'm not better than any other person on this earth. And that is one of the problems I have with the Catholic Church.
Why do you put down Catholics when you think you're not better than anybody else, as you just said?
Thanks for the call. Yeah, we're moving on. Okay, we're going to move on.
Go on.
Area code 631. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Oh, my God. How you doing, Joe?
Is this Dave?
Doug. Yes,
Long
it is.
How you feeling, Dave?
Oh, man, did I come in on a storm here?
No, it's not a storm. It's okay.
Jump right in.
No, I'm only kidding. Being I'm an Orthodox Catholic, and she was the one who, I can't believe it, I got behind her, but I'm the one that she was saying, and I didn't say that you were putting down the Pope, ma'am. I didn't say Joe was putting down the Pope. I was asking where he heard of that and this and that, and I didn't say that Joe put down the Pope.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, man. You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't know. She sounded a little slow. I don't know. No offense, ma'am. Look, the devil is entered everywhere. He's roaring for souls, like the girl the other night said. That beautiful speaking girl, maybe last night or the night before. And he's getting souls in every church, everywhere. Every church is like, you got girls that go with immodest dress, everything like that.
Exactly.
And it's all wrong. There's a lot of things wrong with the Catholic Church. Like I said, I'm Orthodox. I do believe that the priest does consecrate the bread into the real body and blood of Jesus Christ. That's my own belief. I know you're not going to put me down for that. I hope, whatever. All I know is when I received Jesus, and I've seen many Catholics walk out of the church. I don't know if you've seen this, ma'am. I don't know how many times I've seen Catholics, and it really bothers me. They just, like, take the Eucharist, and they're out the door like, whoa, I got to get I got to catch the football game. I got to go to Macy's. I got to hop in my car and go to the mall and shop. And they didn't even think about the graces and how much Jesus died, and he gave you this. And it really bothers me, but I'll just say real quick, when I received Jesus, that host, I go down on my knees, and my head is almost on the floor, and I stay there. And I am in such gratitude, praising the Lord, thanking Him. I sometimes get teary-eyed. I stay all by myself. I don't let my face be shown to anybody. My eyes are closed. And if you came up to me with a freaking gun, and I affirm this, if you came up to me with a barrel, and I felt that barrel against my head, you Islamics hear this. If you had that gun pointed to my head, and you said you were going to blow my head off, I wouldn't even move. Because so many times when I am in that state, I say, Lord, take me. Take me, oh Lord, now. Because I'm 60 years old. My father died of a heart attack at 60. And I say, take me, Lord, because this earth sucks. It sucks. But as far as things going on, look, there's a lot of corruptness in the Catholic Church.
In every church, yeah.
I was thinking of this. Maybe you know about this, man. Okay, this goes back to a time with the Fatima. Now, Our Lady of Fatima is a recognized apparition. She appeared in Portugal. Well, there's a shrine somewhere, Massachusetts. I don't know where it is, around in the Northeast somewhere. There's a shrine, and it's by a priest who's in charge. Well, they gave permission for all these Hindus to come to Fatima and go on the altar, a consecrated altar, and perform their rituals. Now, anybody knows that the Hindus have many gods. It's paganism. And it was written about putting down this director of the shrine here in the United States, that he would allow the the Hindus to celebrate some kind of paganism ritual on a consecrated altar. It was unbelievable, and we all wrote about that. And it's a disgrace, and it was horrible that a Catholic priest who's in charge of that would ever allow that to happen. So, there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know too much about this Pope. I think he's maybe a little eccentric, or maybe, getting a little senile. All I know is Pope John Paul II was so pro-life. He was so pro-life. And I got to get off this question. I know you guys are not bashing the Catholics. We should all drop this. Man, just forget about it. He didn't say anything. I just wanted to know what's going on with that. I follow the church, but there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's the gays in there. There's the commies and everything else like that. But I want to switch subjects to all you people out there that are going to vote for Obama. Do you realize what good is your food stamps? What the freak good is your food stamps and your money if you don't have a freaking head? This guy is so Islamic. He got Mubarak out of power. You got Christians that are being crucified over there. Crucified. And you think that this guy, if he becomes president, he's going to feed you? What are you people on? Freaking crack? Doug, I ask you a question. That ring that was on Obama's finger, was that ever publicized? That ring that said there is no God but Allah?
Okay, it was publicized, which was by Jerome Corsi in WorldNet Daily. But in terms of a couple of weeks, where did you hear it? If you No. Before the picture of Obama's ring, that gold ring with the Arabic that said there is no God but Allah. Right. Before this was this published a year or 2 or 3 years ago? No. No, not that I have ever seen. It's my understanding. So this basically just came out within the past month? Yes. Okay. Why? I wanted to know now. Now I got a statement with this. Okay. I feel that being that this has now come out, it's almost like a signal to the Islamics in this country and in the world that, now you know I'm an Islamic like you. There is no God but Allah. Man, is that potent message. And he's saying, I want to bring the Islamic flag over the White House in this country. I want Allah to reign supreme over this country. And you have to help me. If I lose this election, there might not be Allah reigning over this land. So is this a signal to them to do something in case he doesn't get elected and then something happens after the election? You know what I mean? Well, Dave, you bring up a good point just briefly. I don't think Obama had the ability to control the dissemination of that story. On the other hand, we all have to look at the bigger picture with respect to this, because how does Islam fit in with the bigger agenda? Not just Islam, but the whole agenda. Dave, thank you. God bless you, my friend. Thanks for the call. God bless everybody. We're up against the hard break. Thanks, Dave. All right. Have a great weekend. God bless both of you. All right, buddy. Listen to the HAGMANN report this Friday, the 19th day of October, 2012. We're going to be right back after these messages.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your #1 priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have a long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the Brick Pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP Brick Packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com. Or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
If you're stumped, you don't know what kind of gift to give to a friend or a loved one, I'm telling you, you must go to 4physics.com. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. This is your one-stop shopping palace. That's the only way I can put it. I could spend easily an hour on this website. Innovative, fun, educational. There are games, books, weather instruments, unique time-telling devices, jewelry, optical devices, laboratory equipment. Let me give you an example. We all know we can tell time with a sundial. You've seen those advertised. Did you know that you could tell time by the stars? At 4physics.com, you can buy a horologium nocturnum. This was a navigational device used in the 15th century by navigators at night to tell time by the stars. It's beautifully crafted in the shape of a pendant made of bronze and pewter or gold and silver. Absolutely a stunning gift. I would be proud to give it to anyone. You must go to 4physics.com. Even if you're not stumped, that's 4physics. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. It's your one-stop shopping palace. Any problems that you have, I don't know what to get Grandpa, I don't know what to get my loved one, that's unique, you will find it at 4physics.com. Please take my word for it. Go to the website, but give yourself a lot of time because you're not going to want to leave. 4physics.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Hagmann here for our sponsor, MindRegard.com. That's MindRegard.com. They have a product called Nootropic, whatever. Don't really know the exact pronunciation of it. All I know is this: it works. It is a cognitive mind-enhancing supplement, and for days like this, it comes in really handy. I take it every day. I've noticed an improvement. Well, my wife has noticed an improvement in me, and we've got basically all of our family and some of our extended family on this dietary supplement. It works. It creates additional or facilitates the blood flow to your brain, and I'll tell you, it has a calming effect as well as the benefits for memory and mind function.
Non-GMO ingredients.
That's right. Yes, and it has the benefits of that, not only non-GMO, but it does something, I think, from everything. It facilitates it fights against, it's got antioxidant properties and it fights against the GMO stuff. Look, I could go on and on about what it does. I could go on and on about I can go on and on about what it has in it. But what it does is it really makes a difference in your cognitive function. And that, to me, makes a difference in my lifestyle. So MindRegard.com, give them, just head on over to HomelandSecurityUS.com, click on MindRegard, and tell them Doug and Joe Hagmann from the Hagmann Report sent you. They will give you 10% off your order.
Doug Hagmann, one guy that doesn't need a bullhorn to get your attention.
You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this Friday, October 19th, 2012. You're listening to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, heard each weeknight, 8 to 11 p.m.
Hour number 2.
Standard Time. This is hour number 2, and we are taking your phone calls.
Let's go right
and hitting the news of the day and news of the week that we did miss, and we will go right back to the phone lines. Area code 360. You're on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hello, Doug and Joe.
Hello.
My name's Eldon. The reason I'm calling in is I have some news confirming a warning that was posted to one of, I believe it was Steve Quayle's website regarding the gangs that are active.
Yes.
I can't tell you how I got this information to protect the identity, but there is something going on in the Tacoma area. If anyone's in there, I wouldn't say get out, but be aware that the gangs down there are getting ready to blow something up.
What kind of?
I don't know.
What kind of gang?
Well, basically, there's a couple. I don't know what kind of gang. I'm not going to mention the name, but the short version is that somebody got disgusted when they realized that the government infiltrated a gang, told them to move from another city to Tacoma, and they have something in there. They're getting ready to start a riot, most likely once they receive the signal. Now, the reason I'm calling in is because if this is happening in one city, it's probably happening in more than one city.
Okay.
And this confirms one of the warnings posted to Steve Quayle's site. I don't want to use the word buckets of sunshine, but if they are placed and ready to go, that's what it's going to be.
All right.
Bucket
Interesting.
of sunshine. Bucket of sunshine means a suitcase nuke, for those that don't know.
Exactly.
So, anyways, the other thing that's on my mind is the reason these churches are lost is because they believe the prosperity gospel. These people are saved, but they do not know that because they have done no work for the Lord, they have not received no reward. And because they have done no work for the Lord will not warn them of these times. Okay? So the short version is there are probably indeed only 1 out of 5,000 people that call themselves Christians that are actually doing work for the Lord, and they have received the warning, and they find themselves on these end times talk radio stations. You know, they find themselves looking on the internet for other people to confirm the warnings they've been given. That's the short version. It's not my desire to convict the entire country, because the short version is if you know too much information can indeed kill you. Okay. So the short version is you will win more souls by seeking the will of the Father than you will by worrying about how to reach out to people that think they're saved. Okay. So in one sense, I think it is as bad as Steve Quayle makes it out to be, but there's still a lot of hope, because when you do the work of the Lord, you will find yourself reaching out to more unsafe people than you can if you're worried about who in your family is saved, or who in your church is saved. So the end result is, I don't know how people don't know this, but the prosperity gospel is that once you're saved, you can pray for rain and you'll get rain. You pray for a better job, you'll get a better job. It actually does work if you receive no reward, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah.
So the short version is that regardless of whether someone is saved or not, they are judged the same by the universal law of love and mercy. Once you're saved, you're held to a higher standard because you should know better and you should be seeking the will of the Father.
Yeah,
if that
every day
enlightens anybody. Yeah, if that enlightens anybody, I hope it does. Everything I've found on heavenowaits.wordpress.com seems to check with everything I can confirm. Great website. A lot of good information on there.
What was that website?
heavenowaits.wordpress.com.
Okay.
The blog was started by a 15-year-old who had a vision of both heaven and hell, and as a result of what she discovered about God, she started that blog. Lots of information there. And the other reason I'm calling is today is October the 19th. Just yesterday I was on that website, found 2 warnings posted on that website from 2009 about this day. And today is the day that food stamps hit $1 trillion in consumption annually. In expenditure. Today is also the day that we had some stuff happen in the stock market. The thought comes to mind that this may be the day for the second derivative shock, fulfilling several people's dreams and visions of 2 derivative shocks and then collapse. And the third thing that happened today was, I didn't see the reports, but I heard from a friend of mine that there's a comet in the sky that's going to show up today or tomorrow.
There's a
meteor shower or something.
Yes, there's a meteor shower on Saturday night, Sunday morning. The Iridian,
So those 3 things confirmed those 2 warnings posted. Anyways, that's all I got. Keep up the good work.
It's a mouthful. Thank you. That's a whole show's worth of information.
Oh, yeah, and I think you could do an entire show on what I just told you regarding the prosperity gospel and seeking the will of the Lord. Yes. That's one thing that I have not found explained to me, and it was basically revealed to me over the past 2 days that this is the hang-up that is infecting American Christianity. It's not that they're not saved, it's that they've done no work and they don't even know it.
Okay.
Most of them don't know it anyway.
Okay. Yeah, and this is something what we're going to address with Pastor Langford, with Steve Quayle and some others. But thank you for the call very much. Thank you. That was a great call. And folks, I've been hearing, just to piggyback on what this caller had said, I've been hearing about gang activity, not in the Pacific Northwest, but in the southeastern part of the country, Miami, St. Petersburg. In fact, if you look on the Internet, you'll find a very vile YouTube video, Palm Beach County, in Florida, with respect to gang activity, and it's African Americans, it's blacks that produce this video, and if you've seen it, you know if you saw it, AK-47s, pistols, just the rioting behavior. I am not certain as to why this video was produced or put out there, but it's pretty sad. But with respect to the caller's remark about liquid sunshine, that is nuclear devices, that's always been a concern. We have no hard intelligence on that. Do we think that they're here? I believe the evidence would show and substantiate the fact that they could very well be here. But aside from that, we've got no direct information on that. So
some good news I see in the chat room is RoboMom. She had surgery today.
And how's she doing? Is she okay?
It must have went well. She said prayers were answered. It went off without a hitch.
So she's in there, or
yeah, she's
hey,
in the chat room.
RoboMom. All right, God bless you. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're here.
Got her email.
You're not like in the recovery room doing this, right?
She sent an email. She said she had a tough time sleeping last night, but she went into the surgery with a strong mind and with faith. And
you know what? You got to go to bed, lay down, get some rest.
Yeah,
rest up because we've got a long battle ahead of us.
Glad to see you. Glad to see you're okay.
All right.
All right. Moving along here, and we're going to go back to the caller.
That was a good caller about that was a very good caller. The information there.
The Russian Foreign Ministry is concerned over Israeli plans to build more homes in East Jerusalem as an impediment to resuming Palestine-Israeli negotiations, says a report posted on the ministry's website.
Look, the Palestinian-Israeli relations have been not discussed now for 4 years.
Yeah.
There has been nothing about this.
Well, what was happening with the Prime Minister and the 63 families that were, was it 63 families that were moved out of their homes, forcefully moved out of their homes last month?
Well, yes, but
was that in the same area? I don't recall.
I don't recall either, because essentially the entirety of Israel has been declared as an occupied territory.
Not only by them, but by our State Department.
By our state, yes. And if we had the cojones, we would move our embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and stop talking about splitting Jerusalem or making it an international city. It's not an international city. It belongs to the people of Israel. It belongs to God's chosen people. Leave it alone. If you have any questions about that, pick up your Bible, read Genesis 12, verse 3.
Yeah.
And from there.
I hear the arguments on different, even, there are lots of alternative sites on the Internet that are saying that this is a illegal settlement, that the Israelis are,
if anything, God promised that.
Right.
God promised
they
6 times the land.
No historical claim to the land. Those are the people who have not read their Bible.
Right. The Muslims have no historical claim to the land. Islam did not begin until the 6th century A.D.
Yeah.
Long after the Israelis were in Jerusalem and in Israel. I do understand. I'm cutting right to the quick of this. I understand the history. I understand the back and forth, capturing and recapturing and such. I do know my history. I just don't want to get into it. Just suffice it to say that the religious and the historical claims are the Jewish or to the Jewish people. And don't call me, don't send me an email saying I'm a Zionist Mossad spy. I've got 1,000 of those since I was on yesterday on with Alex Jones, and I'm certainly not blaming him. But you know, I mean, every other email I've gotten that says you work for Mossad, you're a Zionist, you're a spy, you're this, you're that, whatever.
As we see this world continuing to spiral out of control on all fronts, economic, political, throughout the whole world, we see the behaviors of people getting more erratic. We see more violence. We see more anger and lashing out.
Yeah.
And you know, the Jewish people have always been the target of, you know, the lashing out, it seems, always. And it's just, I wish more people could just learn to love their neighbors, love their fellow man, as they love, you know, their brothers. And if every person on the earth did that, we would live in the utopia that they're trying to create. Only the utopia they're creating is going to be one of death and destruction, not of love and compassion. And, you know, as long as they keep doing this, this is a battle that's going to be fought until the end of the age, until the second coming of the Lord, as the Bible says. And it is already, it is already won.
And, before we get any further, or before we even get into that, I just, finish that thought about Jerusalem. I think we covered that, though. The State Department does not want to really address.
They wouldn't even call Jerusalem the capital,
right?
You know, it's a mess.
And we've abandoned, like I wrote in 2008, we've abandoned Israel, and not only abandoned Israel, but we are actually being antagonistic against them. Yeah, I just want to quickly go over this,
and then we'll head back to the phone.
Yes, folks. I don't know whether you know this or not, but if you go into the background of Barama, what the heck was that? Wow,
it's a free for all Friday, so it's all right.
Maybe Barama. Okay, maybe that might catch on. All right, Barack Obama. Okay, folks, you know that in addition to his Islamic tendencies, Islamic faith. Yes, I said Islamic faith. You know that there are people out there who have spotted him or who have documented him being present in gay bathhouses in Chicago. Now, I know this is probably, you're thinking, why am I bringing this up? This is all part of the intelligence aspect of things. If we have a right as Americans to know everything about the president, from his blood type, whether he's HIV positive, to whether he's legally eligible for the presidency, or regardless, we have every right to know everything about this. This man's got his finger on the nuclear button. We've got the right to know about him. What happens is when a person is a closeted homosexual or bisexual, there's that element of bringing in the possibility where he could be compromised, whether it's by our intelligence agencies or someone else's intelligence agencies. He's subject to compromise. There's documentation now. If you look for it, you can find that Obama had during his time, both before he was a senator. This is allegedly now. I'm saying allegedly. People in Chicago's gay community are saying that before he became a senator, while in Chicago, he attended or he frequented bathhouses and bars in the gay community with gay community leaders in Chicago, allegedly. And for example, some of the places that he frequented, the Lucky Horseshoe Lounge on Halsted Avenue. This one, I believe. Let me look here. I believe it's this one where they named a back room after him, called not named the back room, but the Presidential Lounge. It's other places he's frequented. Bucks on Halsted Avenue, Little Jim's on Halsted, the Granville Anvil, and there's a whole subculture in Chicago that knows about Obama, and it's the older 40, 50-ish, 60-ish gay community that knows about him. Now, I've done a lot of investigation in gay communities, investigating a homicide. Really got into that subculture. Yeah. I've got to tell you, it's a very unique subculture. It's not one where you break into easily. People will talk, but you've got to know what questions to ask. But the bottom line, the reason I mention this is there are a lot of things about Obama that would address his stance, for example, on gay marriage, as we talked about the first hour, his own support of the non-traditional marriage. So in addition to that, there's also things in here that the press is covering up. The press, they're not covering at all. It's just something that I want to bring to your attention. The information is out there if you care to look.
I think Wayne Madsen has done some reports on what you're... extensive reports. I think that's
I'm not even sure if that... Okay, if that's the case, then that's great. But... yeah, I didn't know that. Okay,
moving on. California sheriff asked the Department of Homeland Security for more surveillance drones. The sheriff of Alameda County, California, if he has his way, the citizens of the West Coast cities of Oakland and Fremont might soon find more than just birds and planes soaring through the skies. Sheriff Greg Aaron is eyeing a remote-controlled drone.
Yep, they're already flying over the United States.
Yes, they are. At only 4 feet wide and weighing roughly the size of a puppy, an unmanned aerial vehicle or a UAV could provide police in Alameda County with a whole new set of eyes where cops can't really get to, like your backyard, inside your house.
That's right.
Places where they're not supposed to be getting into unless they have probable cause.
These are not only surveillance drones, but they're also being retrofitted for having armaments on them.
Yeah.
And speaking of drones, aircraft, things in the sky, I've been getting reports. Got one report of a C-130 with a electronic communications countermeasure pod underneath its fuselage, flying at about 500 or flying under 1,000 feet, between 500 and 1,000 feet in Allegheny County, and about 200 knots. A very unusual flight pattern.
This article goes on to say the drones will provide the eyes where the police can't easily see or get to. Such is the reason these aircraft are among the U.S. military's most popular addition to their arsenal, and in recent years, allowing the Pentagon to peer into insurgents from 30,000 feet above the earth. Insurgents. And I assume they're talking about Afghanistan and Pakistan, but they're talking about America too. We are insurgents, we are infidels, we are the domestic terrorists, according to them.
And speaking of domestic terrorists, Wade Hicks is now back in the continental United States. I want to just say that.
Did he get to see his wife?
I believe she is coming from Okinawa to the United States. Folks, if you don't know who Wade Hicks is, it's one of our previous shows, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday. He's a gentleman that was identified on the no-fly list, stranded in Hawaii, not allowed to move. In fact, I was talking with Fox News today. Adam Housley from Fox News, he had contacted me about this story today, and there might be some additional exposure there with respect to Wade Hicks and Megyn Kelly as well, so from Fox News. But just as an FYI. So, the TSA, this stuff is really going.
Yeah,
it's just
the DHS intrusion on privacy, the TSA expanding to all parts of anything that moves. They consider transportation. First, they were installed in the airports under Michael Chernoff when he was head of the DSA under a false flag event where they put a bomber on the plane who did not have the ability to detonate the bomb he had with him. Through this, they implemented the body scanners, and since then they have really, if they were a legitimate business, they did an excellent job of, spreading out and basically franchising everywhere. But they're not a business. They are now an an authoritative law enforcement agency of the United States, and they are making up the police state here in America. These are, in my opinion, just illegitimate law enforcement, and they have no business being in our skies, peering into our houses, looking at what our texts say, looking at what our emails say. unless they have probable cause and the judge agrees that the probable cause is enough to sign a warrant. Right.
That's right.
So we have no more Fourth Amendment. We have no more First Amendment. We have no more Constitution. It's all an illusion. And in the episode description I said today, does America have a future? And, how long can we continue with $16 trillion in debt? How long can we continue when we have the police state growing so big, it is affecting almost everything we do in our daily lives? How long can this continue? And it just keeps increasing. Over $1 trillion are spent on welfare alone every year. This is unsustainable, and hyperinflation nation is what we have now.
Well, it's official today. We're now, as that caller mentioned, we're now spending $1 trillion in welfare payments.
And I was looking at the Weimar Republic, looking at videos and what happened back then, and I go back to that occasionally, and they all say what started the hyperinflation. Well, the German after World War I had to pay their debt. They didn't have the money to do it, so they started printing money, which led to hyperinflation. We've been printing money as a country now for a long time, but QE2, QE3, and they're calling for QE4. It is basically burying us alive.
That's right.
We're going to go back to the phones here. Thank you for your patience. Area code 305, we're coming to you. You're live on the HAGMANN and HAGMANN Report.
Hi.
Hello there.
Hello.
Well, are you there?
Yeah,
yes.
We're here.
Am I on?
You're on. What's on your mind?
Well, my mind feels like ping, ping, ping at this point from listening to all the conversations. I was going to originally talk about the sinkhole, but I guess I'll opine on the political thing right now. I have a visual when I look at things. Okay, I'm like a visual person, and from things I see, and then I start listening, and just things that just kind of glaze over and maybe don't really jump out to people to mean anything. And I'll give you an example. During the recent debate, the first debate, right, when Obama and Mitt Romney came together on the stage for their greet, they went into the 5-point Masonic stance. Arm to arm, they did the lion paw grip, which is the high Masonic grip. It's the 33-degree Mason handshake. And then they each put their hand to each other's shoulder, and then they were toe-to-toe and knee-to-knee. So they did the 5-point, right? The second debate, they did the lion paw grip, 2 hands, arms were crossed over. They did a double cross. So it was a double cross lion paw. And then during the debate, Obama brings up about Mitt's money. And stuff. And then Romney says to Obama, you might want to look at your investments. Okay?
Yeah, the Cayman Islands.
And Obama shut up. Okay? Now, Greg Palast just wrote an article. It's in The Nation, bringing up about the auto bailout and how both of these guys, Obama and Mitt Romney, made millions of dollars. There was this vulture capitalist singer that bought out the Delphi section of GM, which is the auto parts section, and we ended up having to pay billions of dollars because once they got that division, they couldn't operate GM because the parts were being held. Okay, and they needed the steering columns and the parts, otherwise they were going to fold GM, even though the bailout had gone through. So we got on the hook for another something like $12.5 billion, okay?
All right.
And meanwhile, Romney invested money with this Singer guy, okay? So he got in on the bottom floor with that. All this money has been offshored. The short version of this is all this money was offshored. It's off on some island off of France where nobody can find it, kind of like the Cayman Islands, you know what I mean? The money's offshore, you know. Nobody has to report anything. The taxes Romney reported on were recent taxes. The telltale taxes were 2009, 2010, the ones he's refused to release. Anyway, the money was, and he had it put into Ann Romney's trust so that it doesn't have to be reported, okay? And if he gets elected, his son's going to make big bucks. The whole thing's a scam. It's a horse and, dog and pony show. They're both working for the same people.
Right.
The Illuminati calls the shots, and they play their part in the big plot that's ages old. Well, you know the story. It's the Luciferian story. It's being brought to fruition right now. All of this stuff is Albert Pike's thing to stir the blacks against the whites, the Muslims, the Jews, the Christians. And the final thing comes down, they want to break everybody and bring in Luciferianism, and that's it, in a nutshell. That's what I got to say for tonight, and thanks for listening.
Thank you for your call.
I can go on. Yeah, thank you very much for listening. I enjoy listening to you guys, and I do pray for you and everything, too. So,
we need that.
And I pray for everybody, and, we just have to kind of hang together, and I think the only thing we can really do is just stay with the Lord. And as far as the physical stuff goes, you need to get to the grocery store, and whatever money you can muster up, be putting back some food and water, and kind of
that's
planning
exactly
for.
Right. That's exactly right.
So,
thank you very much, caller. God bless you. Thank you so much for the call. And what the caller was mentioning about the food, we do want to urge people to begin their stocking up on food if you can, because we're getting information now where the food is the food is slowly becoming unaffordable. I understand.
Let me see if I uploaded this audio. I did not upload it.
We don't need an audio to tell us or a video to tell us
that it explained it.
Yeah,
in short words.
Well, there's two things at play here. There's a devaluation of the dollar, and then there's some of the food products an increase of prices and cost to the consumer. Now, some of those, but if it's not one, it's the other, or both, I should say. So if it's not the devaluation of the dollar, it's the devaluation of the dollar and the increase in the cost of the food item. For example, anything imported, whether it be sugar, things like that, spices, and that's one other thing too, folks. If you can, and if you haven't thought of this, spices for your food pantry, long-term storage, they won't go bad. Plus, they make good barter items. But the lesson here is this: right now, we are seeing the beginning of food prices really starting to sharply rise. As I mentioned yesterday, with the price of a barrel of bushel of wheat is I think $9. Price of corn is higher than it was since 2008.
Soybeans, corn, and wheat.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have to look at this, and what's going to happen is fairly soon we are going to be unable to use our money to purchase food because of the devaluation factor. And that said, just please stock up on things, because people will go hungry in this country, and and what's going to happen is the FEMA camps are going to open up FEMA camps for you, or the refugee centers. And what are you going to trade when you're hungry for food from the government? What are you going to be forced to trade? Guns, perhaps. Something even more, perhaps your soul. I don't know. But as I mentioned before, the Bastille back in 1789, when the French stormed the Bastille, It wasn't because of policy as much as it was their hunger. And it's just, please, just get ready. Start getting ready.
And if you're not...
At the very least, you need the food.
And with getting ready, you don't just think of yourself, because when we put away food, we might not be the ones that use it. Someone else might come across it and need it. There might be...
With our permission.
Yeah, if we're still here. I mean, who knows? But, pray and ask God what you need to be doing to do His will, if He wants you to prepare in the physical. Some people I talk to who are very close to the Lord don't feel the need to prepare. Some do. And that's what they receive through prayer and listening, and what they get, in their spirit, and that's what they follow. And I think that's what we should follow. But yes, I personally have some food storage. I don't have the means to go crazy with it. I mean, the basics to feed. I could probably feed 10 people for 2 to 3 weeks. I could feed myself and one other person
if you want to eat a lot of rice.
Yeah, rice and oatmeal. But don't forget, things can happen. I mean, we could have earthquakes in your area, tornadoes, hurricanes, and that food might become useful to somebody else in those times too. So,
but people have to understand that from the French Revolution to the Arab Spring, the food riots have been the cause, or food has been a cause for riots, including here in the Arab Spring. So, the food prices, folks, actually help predict when riots are likely to break out. Based on everything we've come up with, and there are very complex social models being used to predict this kind of thing by various universities and study groups. And what they're seeing right now is the potential to forecast chaos and social unrest and rioting by identifying a very well-defined threshold for food prices. And there's a point at which food riots break out, and at that point, you've got a matter of about 72 hours before riots break out. And we've seen this in Tunisia, when the Tunisian fruit and vegetable vendor, Mohammed guy, set himself on fire. And everyone will remember that. Well, that really started the riots, and it was really, it wasn't necessarily over policy as it was his self-torching was over food. The beginning of the social unrest. Now, the danger zone here. I'm just trying to see if there's watch the price of cereal, dairy, meat, sugar, oil, and oil. That I mean vegetable oil. Riots become more likely when the index of those that basket of commodities goes above 210. Right now, just for reference, it's about 195 or 198. That's just a measurement. It's just a measurement. It's a complex formula, but that's how close we are to having food riots in this country. So, thought you'd like to know that.
Yeah, and we go back to Henry Kissinger's memo. Food is wars. Food is a weapon. Food is wars. Food is a weapon. Right. Method of starvation to thin out the herd.
Steve Carell talked about that so much, too, about food being used as a weapon. And my DHS source had said that's their plan. They're going to use food as a weapon as well.
Well, let's go back to the phones here. We got a bunch of people on hold.
Let's do that.
We're going to go, I think this is Sheila, area code 856. Sheila, is this you?
Yes, it is.
How are you doing tonight?
How you guys doing tonight?
Very well.
I'm doing okay. Feel like I'm catching something, but other than that, I'm fine. You just said something, Doug, and about Obama and his lifestyle.
Yes.
And it was something I've read just here in the last 3 weeks about him on WND, and according to what I read, it was Jerome Corsi.
Okay.
He is homosexual, and this church that he went to, Reverend White, they got a group that's called Down Low.
Correct.
And
correct.
Have you heard that?
Oh yes. I did not get into the entire dossier I have on this social bankruptcy of Obama, because I just didn't feel it was really relevant. But yes, the down low club
and the murders too of his friends.
There's two men that's dead.
Yes.
Evidently, they started talking, and next thing you know, they're not talking anymore. But I was afraid to approach that. But it was a long article. But anyway, what I wanted to say was, Joe, I got a question for you. Fox News has been beaten on this story with Benghazi, and I'm glad they stayed on it, because they're not getting any answers here. Well, today it came out, there's a whole lot of documents that came out where Stevens had sent cables to them telling them they needed more security over there. Evidently, he had sent one the day he was killed.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting and listening to it, and I'm thinking, I just had this really bad feeling of dread come over me, because I heard somebody say that he doesn't want to do that debate Monday night, because that's on Foreign Affairs. And here you've got this, pretty much it's all evidence that this man did, send messages and whatnot trying to get more security, and they just totally ignored that. But I got a really bad feeling about that.
So the third debate's on Monday?
No, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Is it Monday?
Or Tuesday?
I think it's Tuesday, the 23rd. I could be wrong.
Okay. And it's on foreign policy, but I heard that he didn't want to do that debate, so hopefully something don't come up between now and then. But, Joe, last night, at the beginning of the program, you had said something about the brown shirts that's come out, just graduated.
Yeah.
From Homeland Security?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned something about the governors.
Yeah.
You remember what it was you said? What was it? Because I went on there, and I found, I went on Homeland Security, and I saw the article on that, but I couldn't come up with anything about the governors.
Okay.
Can you tell me how to find that?
Sure. The title of this article is 14 United States governors prepare state militia defenses to be ready against Obama's rogue federal forces. Now, this is on the Blade report, not the Blaze, the Blade report. And the only...
well, go on.
Yeah, it talks about fearing Obama's federal forces. 14 states across the country are getting their state defense forces, which are separate from the National Guard, ready to defend against or for a civil war, in case of a civil war, and ready to defend against Obama should they feel, I guess, he's going to wage some type of civil war or martial law on the country, so they are getting their state militias together.
Well, I hope Christie's going to do it, because Chris Christie's our governor here, so I wanted to go in there and see what all that said. But I flipped over to Oath Keepers to see if they were up on this, and they did have the article from Homeland Security, and at the very end of it, it said, don't do this. I just took that as a warning, because they know,
right.
Obama's, I just can't understand him even. These are kids, for crying out loud, It's
right.
disgusting, and I don't want to see our people. Go ahead.
No, I mean, what people have to understand, if you're tuning in later, if you don't really quite understand what's going on with this, some equate them to the Hitler Youth. Others are saying it's an extension of it's actually an Obama. It's an Obama creation, and it is an Obama creation to the extent that these are young men, 18 years old. There's 231 young men. They're graduating in the first class graduating. they're going to be assuming positions within FEMA. Each one of these 231 young men are going to be. Sheila, I don't know if you're in a submarine or whatever. Well, I'll tell you, it's just reverberating in my headphones. I can barely hear myself think. But these young men are going to be involved in taking over FEMA or working with FEMA in various disaster regions.
Yeah, they say disaster recovering centers to sharing disaster preparedness.
And I said disaster regions, not disaster management.
Well, why do they have guns? Why they got a picture of them with guns?
No, I said disaster
why do they
regions.
have a picture?
Right, it's not their intent, Sheila, to be engaged in disaster recovery or support. It's not that. It's actually for security purposes for FEMA. There's a difference there. People are not making that distinction.
They're saying that these people, these youth, are being trained to help in times of natural disaster, from earthquakes to hurricanes, but in reality, this is the DHS civilian army Obama talked about, which will carry out, house-to-house gun confiscations. They're trained to take on returning veterans. This is not a passive, helpful force that was trained and created.
Right. Exactly. So
they wouldn't have a prayer.
Well,
only kids, they wouldn't have a prayer. I don't care what kind of training they had. You're coming up against men that's been in the military, for God's sake.
But
and whatnot.
I know, but it's the whole process here that we're looking at, Sheila. I don't really think. I just don't think that. Look, the sanctity of human life is meaningless to Obama and his czars and his people, and the people that are the globalists behind Obama. It's meaningless to them. The allegiance is important. So, look,
I know
here because of that.
I know that when he was on that guy's program last night, it was just total disregard for, the ambassador and the three other men that died over there in Benghazi. But yeah, you can tell that he has no regard for human life at all. But I wish the heck that people would wake up. And, this man should have a 0 on the poll numbers.
Well, that's right, but there's so many people that are in the tank for him. There's such a complicity in the media. There's such a complicity everywhere. For Obama, Sheila, it's just crazy. Well, look at when during the debate last week, when Candy Crowley just happened to have a copy of the transcript on an unscripted question. Yeah. Okay. How does that work? Hey, I just happen to have the answer right here, Mr. President. Come on, are you serious? Limbaugh pointed that out.
She was wrong.
Yeah, took him a while.
She was wrong, but she waited till the next morning to get on a talk program or on CNN there and talk about that. She was wrong on that, but
no, Steve. But see, Sheila, they're talking all around the issue. The issue, they're talking about Candy Crowley being in the tank for Obama. It's more than that. The whole thing was scripted. Otherwise, she wouldn't have had a copy of the text of the question the day before.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. Bob Schieffer does it. This last one here, so hopefully, I don't know. We can't trust anybody at this point.
Yeah.
What a bunch of crap. It's just so sickening what's going on, but. And that ring that people are questioning about, I saw that on WND and Now the End Begins. I like to know how they got such close-up of that ring. They said he wore that ring since he was in college.
Look, we can't guarantee the authenticity of that ring. Yeah, I don't know, Sheila. I don't know. I can't guarantee the authenticity of that ring. It certainly looks like it, but look, when we have a document submitted by when we have a document that's actually submitted by the White House, and no one can verify the authenticity of that document, how in the world are we going to verify the authenticity of a photograph of a ring?
Yeah,
it's just not. We just can't. So God bless you, my friend. Take care, Sheila.
You have a great weekend.
Okay, talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. We got a couple minutes before the top of the hour break. We're going to take one more phone call. patiently waiting here. Area code 608. We're going to you. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Excellent. How are you?
Let me check.
Good. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for like a month to get on your show.
Really?
Yes, I watched.
We've been keeping you on.
My name is. I listened to your father on when he was when Alex Jones was interviewing him, and I just, you know what, I just it's awesome because I love Alex Jones, man. That guy is a pistol, and when I want to relax and come down, I watch you guys. But
yeah,
you know what? I mean, both you guys are doing a good job. I mean, you guys are doing a very good job. God bless you. And my question is I have 10 kids.
Wow.
And you know, right now I'm unemployed. My wife works full time, and you know, I've been watching between Alex and your guys, and I've been doing a lot of my own, you know, research and everything. Are there any points or anything you can tell me or give me information on how I can? Because, you know, I fear for my family in these coming days.
I agree.
You know, and I want to be able to support them. I mean, and I don't have a lot of money to put stuff away. Is there any, like, a trick to doing this where you can, you know what I'm saying, guys?
I'll tell you what, I'm with you on the money part there. What I do is try to buy a little bit, a couple tins of oatmeal if I'm going grocery shopping, or put away money for a couple bags of rice. You know, little at a time. I never have gone out and, you know, spent more than $50 at a time on buying food storage. It's always, you know, $20 here or $20 there. You know,
wholesale
trying to budget, you know, and with you said you had 10 kids. That's you know, so much to take care of now.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's a lot for me. I mean, I've been trying to sneak it in, you know, but my wife's been noticing it.
And then you got the gas prices and food prices.
Wait a second. Is your wife okay with it? I mean, she's okay with it, isn't she?
Well, you know, my wife. You know, I couldn't ask for a better person in my life, but she's not buying into anything. I asked her to sit down and watch. You know, if she'll watch this with me and stuff, and she won't. I mean, it's like she doesn't want to believe it.
Look, caller, we
have a hard time.
We have the same trouble here. There's a delay, caller, so we don't mean to talk over you, and I know it's kind of hard to follow, but look, we have the same problem with our loved ones. Some of our loved ones do, where they like, come on, this can't happen. You're nuts. You're crazy. You just go back to bed or do something else. But you know, here's the deal. Don't force them. Be patient. They'll come around, and when the stuff hits the fan, you're going to be the leader in your family. They're going to come to you. They're going to come to you and say, "What's going on?" And you know, at that point, go ahead.
I can tell you some good news. Tomorrow, believe it or not, because we just got a new house. It's not a new house, but you know, we're renting it from my brother-in-law, and it came with a beautiful pole shed. And believe it or not, we're going to buy a couple pigs and some chickens.
There you go. Good.
You know,
good
so
for you.
I mean, and also I wanted to what else did I wanted to say that you guys are doing a good job, you know, and I know that a couple of people tonight, a lady was calling tonight about, you know, you criticizing Catholics, Joe, and I got to tell you, I'm a Catholic too, so you got a lot of Catholics listening to your radio show.
Oh yeah.
And I can tell you right now, you know what? You know, everybody, you know, is always talking about, you know, 666, 666 going to be on your forehead and your hand. Can I tell you something? My belief in that is that, you know what, God knows what's in our heart, what's in our mind, and He wants us to do it by works as well as faith, by helping others. No matter what denomination we are, He loves every one of us. And if we do the will of God, and the will of God to me is raising my family, my children, bringing my kids to church, loving my wife, honoring her through Jesus and my children.
Yeah, and I've learned the more, you know, you work on your relationship with the Lord, the more that I read the Bible, you know, the works, they those just come into your life, whether it's helping somebody, helping an old lady push her cart across the street, or giving food to somebody or money to somebody in need. That is from the grace of God, from the gift of faith and of receiving Him and trying to do His will. And I believe He puts us in the positions, and then it is up to us to either act on those or miss out, and we don't act on those. Right. And I think
it's also just smiling at somebody.
Yeah.
If God walks before us, then we, even when we don't see Christ, we have to remember that, Jesus, I remember, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we touched on this yesterday, being grateful, even when we're having a bad day, because there are so many people that have it worse off than we do.
And yeah, it's just like that saying, the guy that was complaining that he had no shoes on his feet until he looked next to him with the man with no feet.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Well, thank you guys.
Well, thank you, caller, and thanks for being patient for getting on our show. But definitely.
And my name is Neil.
Neil,
thank you. And
all right, man.
We appreciate it. I got your number down, so next time I see you call, we will definitely answer you. I'm sorry you had to wait so long to get on the air.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad.
Patience. You have a good weekend.
Good, bye-bye.
God bless.
You too, sir. Bye.
Well, you know what, Joe? We're at the top of the hour here.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, next week we did a lot of stuff on our own this week. Next week we're fixing on having some really great guests here in the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
John Morse agreed to come on. We just got to get him. It's a matter of scheduling.
Right.
We got the people. We just got to schedule them in.
Fantastic guests. So
yeah.
Stay tuned. We're going to be right back.
Taking your calls in the last hour.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your number one priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have a long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the Brick Pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP Brick Packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com. Or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
Hi, folks. Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the Internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Eilida Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile-friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world. Folks, we're going to open up the third hour with audio only. Take a listen to this. We'll be going to video after the break, but in lieu of other announcements, take a listen to this audio clip that we were able to grab. This is, folks, what's coming to America. New Greek austerity protests, fuel, gas bombs, tear gas as Greece comes to a standstill. Folks, this is over the rioting over the austerity measures in Greece. This is coming to America. This is insight into what you can expect in this country as the dollar is devalued, as we are going to be into economic chaos. Here it is right here. It's 5 minutes in length.
Scenes of violence return to the streets of Athens, where police have resorted to tear gas to disperse anti-austerity protesters. Thousands of Greeks voiced their anger over a new round of cuts being demanded by the country's lenders in exchange for another bailout payment. This coincides with a general strike that has seen tens of thousands of people walking off the job for the second time this month. All right, well, joining me now is someone who took part in today's protest, Panagiotis Sotiris from the University of the Aegean. Thank you for coming on the program today. A pleasure to see you. We're just hearing right now reports of a 66-year-old man having died during today's protests. Apparently, he suffered a heart attack. Just how severe is the situation the Greeks continue to find themselves in?
Well, we're facing another wave of devastating cuts in wages, social protection, pensions. We're facing new tax hikes. We're facing a social disaster in what concerns our living conditions. That can explain why today we had such massive demonstrations in Athens and all over Greece. That's why there was so much tension in the streets today. And I think we're going to see much more of it. This 13.5 billion euros of cuts have a direct impact on everyday lives. It will mean less money for wages, less money for pensions, less money for health coverage, and people have already reached their limits. They cannot stand it anymore.
You talk about these people reaching their limits. As we all know, protests have become a very common sight in Athens. Do you think they can bring any change to how the crisis is being handled?
Well, this is the problem, that the political class currently just ignores all these signs that come from society. And the same goes from the Troika, and especially for the representatives of the European Union. But they are just building up explosive material for next social explosions, and no policy can hold on simply by being passed through Parliament if it has no legitimacy in society. And I think in the end, facing such an intense social crisis, in the end they will have to change course. Otherwise, we're just going to see social crisis after social crisis, social explosion after social explosion, and without any positive end in sight.
When you talk about what's needed is a change in course, certainly there are many that are saying that the politicians or the Eurocrats don't want to see a change of course on their watch. Let's talk about what you mentioned a few minutes ago about how the crisis is affecting so many sectors of society where you are, all the families in Greece being affected. Also, recent unemployment figures show over 50% of young people out of work. Yes. How is this generation handling it? Perhaps they should just look abroad.
We're having a lost generation. We have a generation with no future. We have more than 50% actual unemployment in youth. We have more than 25% official unemployment. It's almost certain that in the next months we're going to reach official unemployment levels of over 30%, perhaps 34%, 35%. These are Weimar Republic kind of levels of unemployment. These are 1930s Great Depression kinds of unemployment. And this is, especially for youth, they take the heaviest blow of all. And that is why we're already seeing mass migration especially of educated youth, young educated, university diploma holders, young researchers, young scientists are leaving the country, are seeking employment elsewhere.
As you say, a lost generation, those younger people who are looking abroad now to take their educations abroad. Ultimately, at the end of the day, of course, that's going to hit the home economy in the worst of ways. Let's talk about briefly, if I may, as we all know, Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, was recently in Greece, greeted by burning Nazi flags and swastikas in Athens. How much anger is directed personally at Angela Merkel, do you think?
Well, there is lots of anger directed against German policies, the policies of the German government, and of course to Angela Merkel as the Prime Minister, and that causes also all this source of anger, all these analogies with the German occupation. That is not to say that of course today's Germany is a very different country, but people in Greece feel that they are receiving a very aggressive policy from the part of Germany, from the part of German government, and that can explain the anger and what you can see in the streets.
All right, Panagiotis Sotouris from the University of the Aegean. Thank you for coming on RT today. A pleasure.
And folks, well, premature.
Hold on to your seat. The HAGMANN and HAGMANN flight is now taking off. Doug and Joe HAGMANN have cleared the runway of TSA agents, jihadists, political crackpots, and global elitists. Now get ready for some real news. Here they are, Doug and Joe HAGMANN.
That was a premature opening there. Sorry about that. Look, folks, welcome back to the third and final hour of the HAGMANN Report. We're going to be going to the phones right away, but I just want to interject something here. That sound clip that you heard was Joe had found that, and it's very important to really listen to that, especially if on archive. Go back and listen to that again, because here's what's really important. Here's what's really important about that. The numbers, for example, they were talking about the real versus the stated unemployment numbers. How this government in America arrived at the 7.8% unemployment was by fudging the numbers. We all know that, but there are differences. The U1, U2, 3, 4, 5, 6. U6 is the number that they used to create that 7.8% unemployment rate. So if you look at the different numbers, the number combinations, that was the most favorable for this administration. That said, our real unemployment rate is said to be, people say, well, no, the real unemployment rate is 11%. No, it's not. No. Sure, 11% if you use, for example, the 1995 or 94 numbers, but if you go back into the 70s and 60, when it was really the real numbers, you're looking at closer to the 20% mark, even 25%, some opine. So that's what's coming to this country right now, or coming soon to this
country. This is happening in Spain as mass protests are going on there as well. But here, what we're talking about in Greece, on Thursday, it was the 20th national stoppage since the debt crisis erupted 2 years ago.
Right.
Taxi drivers, doctors, teachers, traffic controllers were among those taking part in the rallies. Athens police used tear gas to disperse demonstrators, throwing gas Molotov cocktails. A 65-year-old man suffered a fatal heart attack during the demonstrations, which was said not to be linked to the protest. Local media is reporting he was tear gassed, and things are happening at a rapid pace over there as
and our DHS sources are saying that they're gearing up for a defensive game. So what does that mean, defensive game against these type of riots?
Well, they're protesting over the meeting in Brussels for a summit, which is Greece's economic fate is likely to be, come out of this meeting, and it's currently planning a $13.5 billion bailout austerity package to satisfy Troika, the International Monetary Fund.
Stop right there. International Monetary Fund. Who's head of that? Christine Lagarde.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what's Christine Lagarde? What's she? Where she joined? Or what are her origins? Lagarde joined Baker and McKenzie, a large Chicago-based international law firm, back in 1981, and she handled labor cases, antitrust cases. She was made partner after 6 years and named head of the firm in Western Europe. And she joined the executive committee in 1995, was elected the company's first ever female chairman in October of 1999, and then she became president of the Global Strategic Committee. So she's got a long history tying back to Chicago. Gee, who else is from Chicago? Do we know? Well, of course. So do you think her July 5th, 2011 appointment to the head of the IMF after the fall of Dominique Strauss-Kahn, remember him?
Yeah.
That skirt chaser? Well, gee, do you think he might have been set up to make way for Christine Lagarde? Now things are starting to make sense, aren't they?
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm looking here for an article that I saw before the show about the IMF being unable to sustain.
You don't even have to. You don't need an article, because we know. And Max Kaiser does a really great job. I think in the last one or the one before that, talking about it's the video which he talks about the. Pardon me for being gross here, but guy that stole the enemas and packages in Florida and then returned them.
Yeah, that was a weird story.
Yeah, but he makes the connection between the IMF, and Jamie Dimon, and of course a lot of the global economists. But the bottom line here, the IMF is unable to sustain the debts. What's going to happen is all the 0.1% of 1% people are going to end up with all the wealth, and the people like you and I, folks, are going to end up with nothing. That's all you have to really know about this.
Something we have been keeping up on as the stories come out is this meningitis outbreak.
Yes.
We have news on that. I'm trying to find this piece here.
Well, let's go to the phones real quick.
Yeah, we can do that while I find this article. We're going to go to area code 813. You've been holding the longest. Area code 813. You're live on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann report.
How you doing, Joe? How you doing, Doug and Joe?
Excellent. How are you?
Yeah, my name's Marge. My name's Marge, and I'm out of Florida. And I wanted to know if you guys have seen the YouTube video with Russian General Petrov.
Yes.
And it's kind of I said, okay. Anyway, I thought that was interesting, and he addresses the dollar. And what I find interesting is I kind of followed Dmitry Duduman's prophecies and seeing it come to fruition. And so I've been keeping an eye on Russia. And then I see what he says in it. And it's like I'm looking at, he's looking at the New World Order through a Russian's eyes. He addresses it like a global mafia. He don't call it the New World Order. And I just found it interesting. I wanted to know what you guys thought about it. If you thought it might have been some propaganda thrown in there, because I'm leery on what Russians come over here and tell us.
No, I think that the video to which you refer is 100% accurate, based in fact, and I think Dmitry Duduman is extremely talented, and certainly is a person we want to and are attempting to have as a guest. Phenomenal.
He passed away. Dmitry Duduman is Michael Bodea's grandfather.
I'm sorry, not Dmitry Duduman. Russ. I'm sorry.
What?
I was thinking of Russ.
The general?
No. I was thinking of Russ
Dizdar.
Dizdar. Thank you. No, I always get those two confused. I'm sorry. I get those two gentlemen confused. And so, yeah, it would be awful.
You're going to go to heaven to talk to him.
No, I'm sorry. I confuse the two all the time. I'm sorry about that. But yes.
That's okay.
But no, the film, one thing I'm not confused about is the film to which you refer. And that is, that's, as far as I'm concerned, 100% true. And if you look, that video is also backed up by, I can't pronounce the other general's name. This was taken in the mid-'80s as well. Somebody in the chat room can help me out here. The Russian general that talked about the infiltration in America. But anyway,
okay.
But what's your take on all this?
Well, I just find it interesting. There's stuff I've never heard of before. He addressed. When Bill Clinton, he says when Bill Clinton bombed Belgrade, the Slavs began to ask questions as to why. Let me see. I took the liberty of writing it down because I couldn't understand it, trying to listen to him speak Russian and read the words in English, so I wrote it down. And why he was doing this and why the North American country bombing the capital of the European country. And he goes on to say later the U.S. occupied Iraq. He addresses things that the New World Order is doing, and he even names names, and which is I found interesting in his own country that's involved. It seems like that's involved with the globalists. And have you heard of these names like Mikhail Khodorkovsky and Antonelli Chubas and?
Not that
he's saying this Khodorkovsky is in court, but he's backed by Baron Rothschild, stands behind him. Apparently, he's in trouble over there, and Baron Rothschild was going to get him out of I guess he's a globalist within Russia. And, you know, I tend not to think of Russia as part of that New World Order thing, because, you know, you read Russia Today, and they seem to be anti-New World Order, and I don't, you know where I'm coming from?
Yes. I think what we're talking about, this New World Order, this global governance, is above the nation states of like Russia. It's beyond that. If you can imagine something even more comprehensive and more inclusive or more far-reaching than a nation-state status, Russia being a nation-state. Does that make sense? In other words, yeah. Russia is a player in this, but they're a player as much as the United States is, and the globalists have dominion over. They're not looking. I mean, they're looking. The globalists are not respective of national boundaries, I guess is what I'm saying, or cultures. So they want to. But to the extent now where the globalists will use, like the United States, will use Russia, will use China as countries to pit one another, you know, to cull the population.
Right.
You know, so it's a three-level, multi-dimensional chess game that's being played. But I don't think Russia is a deterrent to the New World Order. If anything, I think that they're a facilitator based on their usefulness to the globalists. So. Yeah,
and that's kind of like before Obama got in office, I had read about the attack on Russia. You know, Henry Groover's vision he got, and
right.
And Dimitri Goodman and all them, you know, and then you started to actually see, hey, you know, notice like, hey, the globalists are actually behind this deal here, you know, and the Russians and stuff like that. It just kind of woke me up to the fact that they're really, because he refers to the leaders of all the countries like Obama and President Chavez and all them. He refers them to economists are amateurs compared to these people, you know, the global mafia and stuff like that.
Yeah, they play on a totally different level than anybody can imagine, and the globalists think in terms of generations, and think, you know, that they want to buy the future, and they think they can buy the future, and they think of immortality, bloodlines, things that in their evil is such that we can't even right. It's from Satan, well beyond anything that the average person can comprehend.
Yeah, I guess that's why it's hard to get our family to understand what we're talking about, huh?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I have a hard time. Hey, after a while, I stopped listening to myself, you know. I got to tell you, when I start talking about this stuff, I like, huh? You know, what are you talking about, Doc? I have to shut down because it's like, come on, you hearing yourself talk? But yes, this is caller, this is evil, pure evil, you know, inherently evil. It's satanic, it's Luciferian, it's, oh my goodness. And Steve Clare used to talk about this.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, come on. You know, man, I'll tell you,
I guess that's why in our country, because we haven't really had war on our soil for so long, that it's harder for us to imagine it than people like that been in wars for countries, third world nations, Africa, and all those places you see violence. I guess they can believe it before we can. But yeah, I guess that's why it's so hard as Americans to tell our families. But
it is. But you know,
like you said, it's coming.
It's coming, and you know what, caller? I just happened to see a note I wrote. I had forgotten about this. We mentioned the $1 trillion mark for welfare. Don't forget, J.P. Morgan administers the food stamp program, so they're making a big cut on this huge dependency program. So you know, little tidbits like this affect. If you approach your family members with stuff like this, hey, did you know that J.P. Morgan administers the food stamp program and makes, you know, a certain percentage off every person that goes on food stamps? Then they can understand little tidbits like that. But if you try to dump the whole shebang onto it, it's like, holy cow, you know, what do you expect?
Well, they own the ATM cards that are on those things. I mean, they're like ATM cards, and every time one of those used, I'm sure they're charging the government, the taxpayer, for it, you know?
It's not exactly every time they're used, but it's the creation and the maintenance of the account. Yes, but you're correct.
Yeah.
The ET cards.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's there.
They're charging somewhere.
Well, thanks for the call.
Okay, well, I just wanted to get your opinion on that video, and you know, it's like, wow. I mean, I'm pinching myself. It's really happening.
It is indeed. It is, yes. And I would urge everyone to look. Caller, tell me again, so I don't slaughter the last name of that Russian general.
Yeah, Petrov. It's Russian General Petrov, Petrov.
Okay.
And it's on YouTube. A lot of people re-uploaded it, so it might be under different titles.
Right. And yes, I believe that's a real deal. Petrov, I've spelled it with two F's and such. Okay, thank you, caller, very much for that. It's Petro.
All right. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to hit some phone calls here because we do got people lined up. So I've been waiting for a while. Area code 305. We're going to come to you now, and 859 next. 305, you're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
305, you back to me again?
Oh, hey. You want to come on again?
Hey.
Sorry about that.
I'm still here.
All right, we'll put you back on hold.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Now we're actually trolling for callers. How do you like that?
No, we got enough here.
Okay.
Area code 859. We're going to you. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hello?
Hello, you're up.
Okay. I was just wondering, of course, I didn't check out your, the guy that advertises on your show about the food.
Freeze dry guy?
What is that guy something guy that advertises food?
Yes,
food
the freeze dry.
survival.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
I haven't checked him out yet, but I was checking out the one that's on Alex Jones's site, the eFood.
eFood's Direct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not our sponsor. They're not our sponsor. Yes, but the freeze dry guy is a good guy, ma'am, and good guy. And I can tell you this. He is really, he'll help you out, and whatever your needs are, he'll spend some time with you.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know how I'm going to get through this because I'm on disability. I'm in a wheelchair. I live alone, more or less, with my service dog. And I bought my first jug of water. But I live in this little tiny apartment. There's no room to store anything. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
Do you have access? Hon, do you have access to the internet? Do you have access to the internet? Obviously you do it. Would you do me a favor? Would you go to our website, HomelandSecurityUS.com, and would you click on my name on one of the stories there and send me an email and just put in the subject line, I don't know, caller or something like that, and let me know who you are, and what I'll do is we'll make sure you're taken care of, okay?
I do have a church that I go to. But if the communications are going to be cut out all of a sudden, and there's all this rioting in the streets, I'm just wondering how are they going to get to me? Because I live in a apartment complex for senior citizens and disabled. Yeah. And I'm not going to go out. I am not going to leave this house once that breaks loose.
Yeah, but, that's why, ma'am. I definitely. I want to make sure. We want to make sure you're taken care of, and you know something. You've got a service dog, you said, right?
Right.
Okay. First of all, I love dogs, and one of the best friends you could have, and. Wow, but that aside, we want to make sure you're okay, and we're going to help you. Don't get too caught up in all this. Okay?
Yeah, remember the Lord. The Lord is with you.
Right. Yeah, but I tell you, I've been telling some people about this, and I'm going to watch it. I don't want to create somebody having a heart attack. And the people here, they're just not open to listen to this. I've got one friend that teaches Sunday school with me. But now, what was that thing you said to click on?
Well, just click on my name or Joe's name on HomelandSecurityUS.com. You were there on our website before, and just send me an email, okay? Letting me know your name and your phone number. Some way I can call you or contact you.
We got her phone number.
Okay, even if it's by email. And we'll make sure we'll make sure you're not walking alone, and you're not. We'll make sure you're okay.
Yeah, we'll talk to you off air and address your concerns and see what we can do to help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate this.
Well, man, we really appreciate you calling in and listening, and we're going to be praying for you. And like I said, we're going to be in contact with you. Keep your head up. Keep your head up, because the Lord is with you. The Lord is with you, and you have an extended family here with us and with our listeners, and we're going to be praying for you, and we want to talk to you and hear from you soon.
We're going to be looking after. We all stick together, and we're a big family, and you've got us to depend on as well. I mean, you can depend on us as well. I say that right? Okay. God bless you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
You have a good weekend.
I got to tell you something, Joe. Okay, you talk about the anger that's brewing up in me to take. Sometimes you think, well, okay, maybe we're just adding to the frenzy, and by sounding the alarm bells, maybe we're just adding to the frenzy. Maybe we're just adding to people's anxiety levels. But you take a case like that, and these damn globalists, these damn bankers, these contemptible bastards that are out there doing this, that are setting this up, that don't care about the people, that treat people like garbage. And these people, that this whole meme that is being set up, that hey, we care about you, we care about the underprivileged, we care about the people on disability, we care about this. That's a load of crap.
The false justification.
And there is your proof right there.
Yeah, these justifications of good intentions to bring in their agendas of evil, they never ceases to amaze me, the evil they will stoop to in order to get their way. But their way won't last long, as this earth and all things on it, including them, will be destroyed, and the Lord God will come back for his people. And we all must remember that, no matter how hopeless our situation seems, how hopeless we feel, we must always remain positive in our faith with the Lord.
Well, we're going to make sure that, and ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make sure that people like that, we're going to help as many people like that as we can.
Yeah.
When I say like that, I'm talking about the people that are generally unable to care for themselves.
Don't be afraid to contact us off air for anything, any type of help. We'll do whatever we can. If it's in our power to help, we'll help. And it's hard to, we know people in situations like that.
Yeah.
And people that are helping people like that aren't getting paid for their work. People are hired by the state or to help people who are not able to get in and out of their house too easily. Yeah. Those people, our close friend has 4 months not been paid for the help.
Yeah.
And then this is how and think about what's going to happen after Obamacare and all this healthcare overhaul comes into real effect.
Yeah, we're living that right now. When I say we're helping the. You know what though? It doesn't matter. We're gonna help people get through this, and so end of the story.
Yeah, we're gonna move on here on the phones. Area code 484. We're going to you. You are live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Make sure you give me that number too. Caller, go ahead. Caller, you're up.
484, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, you're up. You're on with Doug and Joe.
Hi, my name is Phil.
Hi, Phil.
First, I want to thank you guys for standing up for the Lord so much.
Well, no problem.
And then I'd like to thank you for standing up for Syria like you do.
Standing up for Syria?
It's a Syrian. Yeah, it's a Syrian people, caller. It's a Syrian people.
Yeah.
It's not the government, but it's the truth.
Exactly. For standing up for the truth, which
right.
In standing up for the truth, I'm actually married to a Syrian woman for 18 years, and we met because the area I lived was a Syrian community. And when things started breaking out over there, she would call back home, if you would, and they said, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, we saw this on the news. And it was all fabricated.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And there's nothing like pictures of there's nothing like visuals that used for propaganda purposes. That it's just everything we see, caller, about Syria, you have to second guess and question.
I think a lot of everything we see, not just about Syria, we have to second guess and question.
Well, true, but yeah, I mean, the topic, talking about the subject at hand, and I've got to tell you, Fox is doing a special on Syria or Libya and how the details of the Benghazi attack and the role of Syria and Russia right now. It's starting to gain some traction, thankfully. And we need to keep this story pushed forward, pushed out in the open, pushed into the limelight, because I'll tell you what, caller, we've got to stop this, because if we don't stop this, we're going to end up in World War III. Or we essentially are already fighting World War III. It just hasn't gone visibly bang, bang yet.
Yeah. And also, Joe, I'd just like to share this with you. Being married to a Syrian woman raised over there, it is possible at times to offend someone without knowing it. For my wife, she was raised that you do not leave shoes lay with the soles up, because it is an offense to God. You daren't do that. Just like you do not sit with your legs crossed and show the soles of your shoe to a person. It's offensive to them. So, as far as the Catholic woman taking offense, it could be nothing that you intended whatsoever, but something with the way she was raised. No bad on your part.
Well, there's a lot of cultural things that we deal with. Now, you reference cultural things that, for example, the position of one's shoes and such. Those are more cultural than spiritual, or more than spiritual. Would you agree to that?
Well, sometimes I think culture and spiritual go hand in hand. I think you probably remember days in America where an Irish Catholic was not allowed to date an Italian Catholic.
Well, that's true, but again, isn't that rooted in cultural differences? Because you're talking about the same God.
But there's still that element of religion.
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to make a split.
Right. Okay. Now, but where are we going with all this? I mean, like, for example, we talked about Syria and the truth there. Where are we going with this? What are you thinking here?
Oh, really? I just wanted to thank you guys for doing the job you do. my personal history, raised in a Lutheran church, moved to a community, found a Lutheran church to take my family to, until the day I put the minister on the spot and asked him in adult Sunday school class, "What are you saying here?" And he said, "There is no hell. Everyone's going to heaven. Hindus, Buddhists, everybody." And I said, "Thank you for finally coming out and saying that." And I got up, got my family, we left, we didn't go back.
Good for you.
I found a UCC church. Took my family there. I explained my concerns about being biblically rooted to the minister before I started going. I led a Bible study there for a year at the church. Shortly after that concluded, they made an announcement they were doing a Bible study, 3 faiths, 1 God.
3 faiths, 1 God.
I asked 3 faiths, 1 God.
And 1
I
law.
asked the minister prior to the service, he came around and shook hands, and I asked him, "Could you please explain to me this new thing you're doing, 3 faiths, 1 God?" He said, "Well, you have Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Right.
3 faiths, 1 God." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Well, that's what they say." I put my hymnal back in the slot in front of me, and I got up, and I walked out before the service. The Spirit said, run. And since then, the Lord has been feeding me through the internet, reading the Bible through the internet. I listen to Rick Wiles, a whole circle. You guys, I was kind of surprised. I heard you say Russ Dizdar tonight.
Yes.
I've been following him. So it's like a circle of friends, even though I never met anybody. And I just want to thank you guys for it.
Well, thank you. Isn't it great? I mean, the circle of friends is extended family. We like to think of it.
Yeah.
But we'll keep listening.
Yeah, we got a bunch of calls we got to get to. We only got a couple minutes left. Now, thank you for your call.
Yeah, God bless you, my friend.
You have a great weekend.
Stay in touch.
All right, we'll move right along here to the phones as fast as we can. We got about 7 or 8 people on hold, so
let's do it.
We'll try to run through these quickly. We'll start here, area code 817. You're on the air with Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Oh, sorry about that.
817, you're up.
Hey, Joe and Derek.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yep. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, I just wanted to call and thank you guys for everything you're doing. And, Joe, have you looked into that Blood Signs of the Illuminati by Fritz Springmeier?
I might have. I'm not sure.
We have
so many.
Is that a book? Is that a book, or is that just what is that?
It's a book by Fritz Springmeier. The Illuminati actually sent him to prison for I think 8 years.
Yeah.
Over that book.
Yes, I know who you're talking
he's
about.
A real. I'm sorry, there's a little delay here.
Yeah, we have to deal with this delay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Fritz Springmeier.
I remember listening. When we were in New York.
Yes,
we listened to him on a radio show, and he talked about his jail time and his book.
I remember exactly where I was. We were in Queens, New York, and we were. Yes, I remember this, or Long Island, I think it was maybe. Yeah, Long Island.
Yeah, until you understand exactly what's going on and how the Illuminati, I'm not talking about you guys, but I'm talking about, people in general. Until you understand where all this comes from, there's no way to combat it. You can't make sense of what's going on in the world. But once you understand what the Illuminati and the satanic people, it's all rolled into one.
It is. They're inextricably linked. And look, caller, we've got a problem here. that involves the 13 families of the Illuminati, and goes into the the government here in the United States, the United Nations. I mean, all of this is organized. It's all together. This is one thing I have to say Alex Jones really has gone to the wall about and brought a lot of guests on about the Illuminati. So, in fact, we should and we will at some point do a show on the Illuminati and get into that, because the bloodlines are so important to the leaders.
Yes, sir. Hey, I want you guys to know that Steve Quayle led me to your show, and unfortunately I've become addicted to your show, and I don't get anything done in the evenings anymore.
Well, there's always the archive, but thanks for listening to us live. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks. Definitely appreciate it.
All right, thank you, guys. Y'all have a good evening, and I'll call in another time.
All right, you can multitask too. Don't be blaming us. You can sweep the carpet while you're listening. So,
God bless you, Carl.
I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to miss anything. I love you guys. Thanks, man.
All right, take care.
All right.
All right, we're going to go to Dorothy. She's been on hold for a while. Dorothy.
It's been a while. How you doing, Dorothy?
I'm doing well. Interesting show tonight.
Yeah. What's on your mind?
We do have kind of a. You're not Dorothy, are you?
The disabled woman who called.
Yes.
I want to encourage her, and that Father has always taken care of his people. And Father knows who she is. He knows where she is. And he knows what she needs.
Amen.
And he will lay it on someone's heart to go to her if she needs it.
I agree.
So,
and believe me, I've got we have a soft spot in our heart for anybody who we can help like this. So, yeah, because it's not
he's laying it on your heart to provide assistance to them.
Absolutely.
And that's what he does to his people. Yeah. And I'd like to share a vision I had, if I can, if there's time. It's a quick one.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
It was a night vision where I have a 4-foot chain link fence, and I went out in my yard in the vision, and I had vines covering my fence, and I put out my hand, and a green pepper materialized in my hand, because I was having the same kinds of concerns as, provision in these times coming. So he will supernaturally provide in these times.
I agree, whether it be supernaturally or guiding others to help, each other. It all comes from the same Spirit of God. It all comes from that same seed of divinity, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. Father is awesome.
Yes, and
there is quite a delay tonight in talking on the phone, isn't there?
Pardon me?
Is that new?
What is what new, ma'am? Tell me again.
The delay.
No, every once in a while we get. It seems like the delay. There's usually we've got it worked out because of how things are. Where we've got. I don't want to get into it, but there's a reason for things, and it just seems a little bit longer than usual. So I don't know, but
yeah,
it is.
I also want to make sure everyone goes to Augusto Perez's site and reads his latest vision.
Yes. Steve had talked to me about this, so definitely do that. Augusto Perez's website, and I think Steve Quayle has got a link to that off of the Q alerts to his website, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm sorry, Dorothy. Anything else before we cut you loose?
No, that'll do it. This delay is really.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Dorothy. We'll cut you loose. God bless you, my friend, and Augusto Perez will promote that his website again. It's available through stevequayle.com, but we'll make sure we get that out to people. Thanks, Dorothy.
Thanks. Have a great weekend, Dorothy.
You too.
And his Augusto Perez's website is theappearanceministries.com. Appearance Ministry, theappearanceministries.com. So, go ahead, Joe.
All right, we're moving right along here. We only got about 10 minutes left.
I'll shut up.
Let's see. Area code 918. 918, you are on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann report.
That's me?
That's
you.
Okay. My name is David.
Hi, David.
And I want to touch on Jonathan Cahn's book, The Harbinger.
Oh, yes.
The whole book of Isaiah, if you go in there and replace Israel with America, you'll see where we're headed. We're standing on the threshold of the tribulation. It's about to come at us, full force. All hell will be released upon us. And God woke me up a few months ago and told me I was a messenger and told me to deliver this message. Without Jesus in your heart, you have nothing. Zilch. And I'm glad that people, God led me to you all anyway. And I thank God for that, because you all are telling the truth. And
well, you know what, caller, the only thing that we've got...
get ready. We will all go through the tribulation.
You know, the only thing we can do, caller, is try to give you the truth.
One final choice.
Right. That's
it's
right.
Either the mark of the beast or lose your head.
Yep.
In the name of Jesus.
Yep. And everybody must ask themselves, are they ready to choose the Lord? Because if not...
That's what I'm pointing out to, is the lukewarm Christians or the fence-walking Christians. They're going to have one final choice. And I pray that everyone makes the right choice. The closer you get to Jesus, the more faith you'll have, and the stronger you'll become. You have no fear at all, and I fear nothing. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents worth in.
Well, that's a very inspirational message.
He told me to spread this message that we're getting ready to head right into the tribulation, and we've all got to be prepared.
Well, very good advice. David, I can't thank you enough for your call and for your listening and for your being a part of our program. Really, thank you so very much.
Well, I appreciate you all, and God bless both of you and everyone in the chat room. I'm reading that right now.
I'll tell you, you and others are like our extended family. We really appreciate you being with us.
God bless you, and thank you.
Yes.
Thank you much. He does.
Right on. You know,
I'll let you go.
Okay, thank you.
Pardon?
And very much. Thank you very much.
Have a great weekend.
And ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to let you know here about Augusto Perez. Had a vision dream. 1010.
I read this the other day, and before the show, I was trying to find this for us to show you.
Just very quickly, the elite, or what he dreamt. He had a dream, and here's his interpretation of it. He said the elite are going to try to start a revolution in America, provoke the American people to buy into it. The communists are joining up with the Islamic people in deep. They've already been placed in deep strategic places throughout our country and such, inside our government and so on. We are to resist the temptation to fight in this battle of the flesh because they're trying to draw us into this, ignite a revolution by baiting the American people to buy into it. The American people must not take the bait, but expose it for what it is and expose them for what they are. The truth will always prevail over a lie. Light will always overcome darkness. That, according to Augusto Perez in his vision, saying that, hey, this is what the globalists want to do. They want us to do this so they can usher in martial law. That was the vision that was referenced 2 callers ago. So I want to thank the caller for that. And Joe, you were talking about that earlier too. Let's go back to the phone real quick.
We're going to take one more call before we get to the end of the show here. Area code 214. You are on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. Thanks for holding.
Jan in Dallas. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi, Jan.
Hi. God bless the Jewish state of Israel. Lucy called in, I believe it was Wednesday, the beginning of the 3rd hour, about the debate. It's Monday night, the 22nd, and about the president not wanting to have that debate. She also mentioned the military man, Paul Valet. My third thing, I have heard that under martial law, the president, whoever it is, can be president up to 5 years. Do you know if that's true?
I've never heard of that.
There is a time period assessed to that. You know something? I have to look that up. That's a good point.
Yeah,
I think Congress has got to do something within a 6-month period.
No,
or 60
they
day
can't do anything within 6 months.
Okay, there's something.
If martial law is declared, the Congress cannot do anything for 6 months.
Okay. The trouble is when you
if we don't have an election, so to speak, then they cannot elect Congress. They serve 2 years apiece, and there'd be 2/3 of the Senate, because you elect congressmen every 2 years. So I wonder how that would work out if you didn't have an election at all. But just a thought about that martial law thing, because I don't know for sure.
I want to thank you for bringing that to our attention, definitely.
I think it's kind of serious right now, your shows. Anyway, I'll let you go, okay?
Well,
thank you, Jan. You have a great weekend.
And to Lucy.
Okay. Thank you for pointing us right on the debate date. I keep thinking it's Tuesday. For whatever reason.
Not that we watch it, but...
No, but I have this stuck in my mind. But just want to touch one thing real quick, and then I'll turn it over to you to close this out. Intelligence source earlier today, folks, I was talking about this a little bit. Think about this scenario. Romney doesn't make it to the election day, okay? Or perhaps the GOP can't muster a candidate quick enough, or after election day, between election and inauguration, if he's elected. No, forget about that. Prior to the election, Romney meets a demise of some kind. Where would that put us? Martial law extended the Obama administration. It's just bizarre.
I see them getting more out of having Obama not win the election.
Man,
who's going to riot if they kill Romney?
The Patriots, the Tea Party, the Constitutionalists, not riot, but form an uprising. You don't think that could happen?
Oh no, I know that. It, probably would bring. I would hope people wouldn't react with their emotions and, out of anger and frustration on either side. But we're at a point in time where this nation is morally and spiritually bankrupt. People don't even know how to act. So who knows? We can't even.
That's true.
It just seems like there's population or get an idea of what would happen. Take the Trayvon Martin case and look what that turned into.
Something happened on that case today. I happened to see that.
But we don't know what can move a population to riot. They rob us, kill, steal, do everything possible to us, and people don't do anything really out of fear, out of being content, or some people do, but it's just who knows? It's unpredictable.
Well, the only thing I can say, the only Judy McLeod, as I said, 30 years veteran journalist, great sense of journalistic acumen, or great journalistic acumen, said, I never thought I'd say this, but she said, I still feel something is going to take place between
90 seconds.
Election. Well, and that just, wow.
we'll hope that something is a mass turnaround of spirit and awakening for the Lord Jesus Christ, that people will be drawn to Him, and we'll hope that the people can repent and become saved. Because what else do we have? What else? There's nothing that we have on this earth we can take with us except our soul. And
I want to say this: if anything breaks over the weekend, folks, check our website. We'll come up with we'll schedule a radio broadcast right away.
I want to thank each and every one of you for hanging with us this weekend through all the problems and scheduling
this week
things.
Yes.
And just God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you Monday. Have a great weekend.
And Joe, thanks for covering for me earlier today.
No problem. That seems to be a recurring theme this week.
Yeah, I know.
You guys have a great weekend. We will see you Monday, barring something bad happening.
We'll see you Monday, period.
Yeah. All right. God bless.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.